Hello, scholars, 521 years from now, and welcome back to another thrilling installment of TRANTHROPOLOGY, the only podcast designed for you, the graduate student in the Queer Studies Department at New York. And today, I'm joined by yet another Tran of the past to help me just get some historical record, get some context, get some human experiences for you in the future. With me today to help try to document a little bit of 2025 Trannery is the Portland, Oregon-based stand-up comic and fellow experiencer of Trannery, Mix Dahlia Belle. Hello.
Hello.
Now,
Such a pleasure to be here.
Dahlia, we don't know each other. How many times do you think I can say the word trannery in this conversation?
Oh, I'm hoping a lot. Hopefully more times than I drop the word booty hole. We'll see. It will be like
Okay, it's a competition. Great.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're
queer
one for
scholars
three
and
right now.
anthropologists. Yeah, we're doing it. If you're a scholar 521 years from now, that's just a fun little game for you to play while watching these. And again, I say this every time. I hope you're able to watch these, but who knows? 500
we'll
years from
see.
now? Yeah. Cool. So, hello. Welcome to Tranthropology.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited to have you. And as I told you before we started recording, I'm just going to start asking you questions. Is that all right?
Oh, that's perfect.
Okay. So, Dahlia, I guess where does it all begin? Who are you? Where did you begin?
Oh, wow, that is a tough one. Uh, so
Yeah.
I was born in Orlando, Florida on
Okay.
November 9th, 1981.
All
So
right.
yeah, now they can update my Wikipedia page with accuracy.
There you go. Future.
There's been quite a few debates on when I was actually born. So that's the answer. So
Is that
yeah,
true?
born in,
Have there been debates about that?
yes. I always list it with estimates, ranging from
Interesting.
1980 to 1983. I think is the furthest they've gone out, and I'm not sure where they get these dates from. But yeah, the answer is 1981.
12/9/1981. 11/9.
Yeah.
I know what November is. Um,
What's the best part is
that's
I had to think about it for a moment.
yeah. I was very confident. Did you grow up in Orlando, or is it just where you were born?
That's just where I was born. My dad retired now, but worked in advertising. So I spent 2.5 years in Orlando, Florida, then elementary school in Evansville, Indiana, middle school in Levittown, Pennsylvania, high school in Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin. As you can see, I'm practiced doing this, and then moved to Portland, Oregon as an adult.
Great. Well, I want to dig in to more detail and all that, but I realized I am I'm not a real anthropologist, Dahlia. I should admit that to you now that I've tricked you into my anthropological conversation. But I'm doing my best to get information for the future. And uh, as I said, you're the fifth person I've recorded these with, so I'm still developing protocol. But I think it would have made more sense for me to start right off the bat with Dahlia. Uh, what are your pronouns?
She, her.
She,
Yes, I
her.
am
Great.
I am a
Now you
woman.
know. Now you know how to write about her in your history books. Um,
Yes.
and that's to you, future Michael Bronsky. Now, and how would you label, if you would be so inclined, your like gender identity, queer identity?
Yeah, that's a bit complex. I guess to label myself, I would say I am a woman, uh, full stop. If I were to delve into queer identity, I would have to say just like I don't know, maybe pan queer.
Okay.
I've gone through the acronym a few times over. I
Do
can
you,
dissect that if you want, but
Yeah, I mean, are you? I guess I should note and lock down here. Do you consider yourself a trans person?
Yes. I
Okay.
don't know that I get to consider myself a trans person
Yeah.
or if that's just the reality of my existence. But
Sure.
yes, I do
Yeah.
happen to be trans.
Okay. Great. And I'm excited to see those various travels through the legitimate cues.
Mhm.
Um, okay. So born Orlando, father works in advertising, and your first move, you were very young, so you probably don't remember Orlando.
No.
But like where you grew up in a few places, which is fun. Where's like the first place you remember kind of being home?
Uh, Being home, that would be Portland.
Well, yeah, home maybe not a great word there. Um, where were you living
First,
when you could first remember being a human being, a child,
okay.
a conscious
First
entity?
cognizance of my existence, that
Yes,
would be
yes,
Evansville,
yes.
Indiana. Yeah, that would be
Evansville, Indiana.
Indiana. Yeah.
And how long were you there again?
That would be from age 3 through the end of elementary school, which is the best gauge I have of time. So
For
that's
sure.
like
Yeah, you don't got to be
7
too
years. I
specific
think that's
if
7 years.
yeah.
I think that's 7-ish
Yeah.
years.
And did you do you have siblings or anything growing up?
Yeah, I have two older brothers.
Two older brothers. And what do you remember about like what you were like as a kid, if anything?
Yeah, I was a sensitive child, was the label they used at that time. Um, Very quiet, um, kind of a daydreamer, very
Hmm.
eccentric, one might say. Mostly kept to myself for the most part.
Yeah. Did you like have a sense that you were different from other kids? Like you have like what was your as best you I ask these questions because the answers I get are often interesting. I barely remember being in elementary school myself, so there's no assumption that you do remember this. Like,
Yeah.
what do you remember about what it was like to be you at that time? Like, did you feel different? Did you feel like you fit in? Like,
Yeah, so I guess I guess we'll drive right into the queerness of it all. Um, I did not fully understand why I didn't fit in or why I was not perceived to fit in by others.
mhm,
Um, I, in my mind, I was just a child
yeah,
who happened to hang out with girls. But I did learn, at an escalating level that my way of existing was not deemed normal or socially tolerable
interesting. So you mostly hung out with girls as a younger kid,
exclusively.
exclusively,
Yeah.
and um, yeah. How like do you know roughly how old you would have been when you were able to pick up on the sense that that was like socially unacceptable or whatever the sense you were getting was as a kid?
Yeah. Like it was the 80s, so I was cognizant to a degree of what was expected of me and why I was considered peculiar.
Hmm.
Um, but I still didn't necessarily have a solid grasp on how all of it related to one another. So, growing up in 80s Indiana, I grew up in an environment where I routinely saw bumper stickers and like full on billboards that stated things like AIDS is God's judgment and
Hmm.
things of that nature. I was also raised Jehovah's Witness, so I
Okay.
knew that boys were supposed to do certain things, so I was not permitted to wear my hair the way I wanted. I knew from an early age that um, I was not permitted to like play with my mom's makeup or paint my nails or dress like my mom or anything like that outside of the house. So I knew that. I
But
knew,
but you could inside the house.
yes, specifically with my mom.
Interesting.
So,
How old
yeah.
were you when you started like experimenting in that way?
I don't remember not doing that.
Interesting. And like what was the sense you got from your mom about it? Like how how did you feel like your mom felt about it when you were inside the house? Like obviously it gets complicated when you're going into public.
Yeah. Uh, I think my mom's perspective was always that that was just her child. That was how I operated, and that was fine. But to also be conscious of how that might play out in other settings.
Hmm.
Um, so, for example, for whatever reason, I really admired my mom's ability to walk in high heels,
Yeah.
and my mom was fine with that. But she did insist that if I was going to wear her heels, I needed to know how to walk in heels properly. And if I was going to know how to walk in heels properly, I also needed to know how to be able to run while wearing heels.
Yeah, wow. I mean that's she's not wrong. Um
Exactly.
that's so interesting. I mean, that's like were both your parents devout Jehovah's Witnesses?
Yeah, both still
Yeah,
observant.
that's so that's just like that's not what I would have expected. From the were did either of your brothers like do this kind of play with her?
No, no, it's a specific me thing.
And were like was this a thing where like your mom would do your makeup and teach you how to walk in high heels and then you could like be walking around the house that way, eating dinner with your family in makeup or wearing high heels, or was this like just you and your mom tradition?
This was, yeah, this was only a bond that I had with my mom.
Okay, so it's not like something your brothers or dad were necessarily aware of or approving of.
Correct.
Okay. I mean, were they aware of it or was it a secret?
Um, I honestly don't know what level of awareness
Hmm.
they had of this. Um, but yeah, it was just my mom was a stay-at-home mom for a little while when we first moved to Indiana.
Hmm.
So while my brothers were at school or whatever, sometimes I would be like, "Hey, mom, I want to try your makeup," and
Wow.
she was like, "Okay, that's fine. Just make sure we get this off before your dad gets home from work, and we're good to go."
Yeah, that's so interesting. Did you, and it sounds, I mean, you don't remember not doing this. How like long did you do this? Like how was there a time an age when it stopped?
Um, as far as my mom's participation or
Yeah,
involvement,
yeah.
for lack of a better word, I would say that probably fell off by the time we moved to Pennsylvania, just because my mom had gone back to work and I was in school and, latchkey generation. So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that would have been like middle school years.
yeah. And then it just
Okay.
became my weird little inner world situation.
Yeah. Did you continue like doing makeup or like
In various ways and to varying degrees. Um, and to be clear, I never, at that point, I didn't associate it or make the full connection to like it being a gendered thing. It
yeah.
was just what I do.
Hmm.
Um, so I basically found excuses and justifications for my behavior. So I was a
Interesting.
theater kid. So, you know,
Yeah.
you're doing a period piece, you get to wear pantyhose. You
Yeah.
you're, you know, preparing to go on stage, I get to do my makeup, things of that sort.
Interesting. Um, and did you like either while in elementary school in Indiana or can move into Pennsylvania if you want. Did you it's interesting that you were like, this was just what I did. Was that, okay, I have two different questions. Let me ask this one first. Was that because you didn't have like the category or label to contextualize it? Like, was it just like, this is what I do, but I have no idea whether there's anybody else in the world who does this like me? Or was it,
Yeah,
were you
exactly.
aware of, okay,
Yeah,
interesting.
I had an understanding that um I didn't know of anyone else who was being identified as a boy doing these
Yeah.
things. And I didn't, until much later, recognize the other, we'll say, gender bendy behaviors that I was exhibiting until they were pointed out to me, one at a
Yeah.
time over many years. So, yeah,
Uh,
it,
uh, yeah.
it was just me.
When do you have any idea, like roughly how old you would have been when? It's interesting because you said you were seeing stuff like um, AIDS is the result of God's wrath or whatever. You're
Mhm.
growing up in this Jehovah's Witness community. Like, around what age do you think you would have become aware of what gay people or queer people were? Like, when did you learn that they existed? Not
Um,
just, I mean, trans people maybe took longer, but like just any kind of
yes.
queer.
So I was aware of, gay people, probably from early childhood because, growing up religious, they definitely were sure to point that out to us that that was
Hmm.
what we weren't supposed to be or do. So,
Did you have any fear about this? The fact that you enjoyed makeup and etc. Like, did that cause any fear in you that like, does this mean I'm gay, or those were just completely separable things in your head?
um, I don't know that as a child I connected the two.
Yeah, I think
I,
that's normal.
yeah, I think I had the sense that, you know, if I think really hard about it, I think at that age, I had an awareness, within my mind, within my social context, that being gay was wrong.
Yeah.
But I did not necessarily associate that with myself or my behavior.
Okay. Like, what did you think gay was? Like, would they tell you in like when you're in church? Is it like gay is a sin, don't be gay, and here's what it means? Or was it just kind of a word thrown around?
Yeah, just the typical, men aren't to lay with men as they would with a woman, that sort of business. Plus,
Sure.
'80s, the whole AIDS scare.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess, obviously, I know this is not the case, but
Yeah.
at that age, my understanding of being gay was death. Being gay
Yeah.
equaled death.
Yeah, for sure. That makes sense to me. I
Yeah.
wasn't. I'm a '90s kid, but I can totally see that association. I mean, I think to an extent that still lingers. Like
Yeah.
the I the first time and only time I ever really like hooked up with a cis gay man, um, that was 100% like a fear actively in my head the whole time. Like I think that
Yes.
just you know, um,
Embarrassingly, that followed me into college. But yes, for my
yeah,
first hookup as well. Yeah.
yeah. And were you a religious kid? Like, did you buy into this stuff, or were you like, how? What was your relationship like with your family religion?
Yeah, I would say overall, I was definitely religious, um, and observant, but also um, ever increasingly skeptical and at odds with it.
Hmm.
So it was kind of a weird thing. It was almost more of a desperate desire to believe what my family believed and
Yeah,
to um, fit in and conform to my community,
yeah,
despite having misgivings and being like, well, that doesn't really make any sense. And like,
yeah.
why, why, if God is all powerful and whatnot, is Satan so much better at advertising? I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't grow up religious, but I can only imagine that's a common experience of like the desire to hold on to this thing because your participation in your like social context is depends on it.
Yeah.
Um, were you close with your family, your brothers or parents?
We're a very insular family. So
Yeah,
family was definitely everything. Um, the other thing to note, like in all those places that my dad moved us, my parents are black boomers, so you
yeah,
know, respectability, assimilation was definitely a focus and driving force in choices made. Certainly by my dad as head of household. Uh, so growing up, you know, predominantly white middle American suburbia, we were the black family. So
interesting. So everywhere
we
y'all
depended
moved, you were living in more white suburban neighborhoods.
exactly.
Hmm. Yeah, that's that sounds complicated to disentangle as a child
Hmm.
who feels other in maybe a bunch of different ways. Um,
Exactly.
yeah. And how much older are your brothers?
My next oldest is exactly 2.5 years older than me, and the eldest is 6 years older than me.
Yeah, that's about the age range of my two brothers and me, though I'm in the middle. Um, like were y'all friendly as siblings or like
Uh, my oldest brother and I had a very contentious relationship
mm,
growing up. But certainly through elementary school, my other brother was absolutely my best friend. Like that was
oh,
my
amazing.
go-to person.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Great. And okay, we're in middle school. We're in Pennsylvania, and you're a theater
Yeah.
kid now. Tell me about that.
Yeah, Pennsylvania was special. So,
Where in
hormones
Pennsylvania
get
are you? Are you in a city? Are you in a
Levittown.
town? Levitt Town. Okay.
Yes, Levittown, Pennsylvania, one of America's original suburbs. Um, Found it as an oasis from integration.
Oh,
Uh,
beautiful.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's. I mean, wow. I'm sure that was great. Uh, so yeah, Pennsylvania is wild, and I interrupted you. Sorry. So you were just about to talk about hormones.
yeah. So yeah, that's where things got interesting, and I definitely my entry point into the Alphabet Society. Um, uh,
Okay.
First identity being Ace, actually.
Interesting. In middle school?
Yep,
In I mean, this is what? This is like 1992, 93 right now.
exactly. Yeah.
Where were you encountering that label of ace? Or like was this like a label you heard about or is this just like a self-discovery of like I don't think I'm into that?
Yeah, it was just like an awareness. I'm not even sure of where I learned the term asexual, but I knew that it fit me, or at least it
Hmm.
seemed to. I saw how my peers were starting to interact with one another, and I
Yeah.
knew that I was not having those interactions or particularly wanting those interactions. Um, and again, it was a kind of a cognitive dissonance thing, I think, for me, where I knew that boys intimidated me and made me uncomfortable and didn't particularly seem to like me. And I knew that my friends were girls and I didn't want to make it weird.
Yeah, for sure. Um at this point in middle school, like where yeah, I'm there's a lot of different threads I want to pull at here. At this point when you were in middle school, were was it a situation like are kids calling each other gay? Or are they like calling each other faggot? Or is that
Yes,
okay?
exactly. So that's where um, the bullying and aggression and violence really reached a head. I would say, as isolated as I was in Indiana, it was relatively safe.
Hmm.
As long as I just minded my own business, did play by the rules, stayed quiet, kept a low profile, I was fine. Middle school in Pennsylvania is when that allowance suddenly ceased, and
Interesting.
I was made aware that I was not um, buoying correctly.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Through bullying is what I'm
Yes.
piecing together because I'm a very good detective.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes. Yes.
well, yeah, I'm sorry. What was your understanding of that? Like at the time, you're seeing yourself as Ace, and
Mhm,
like what being. I mean, obviously, being bullied is going to suck for everybody.
mhm.
Were you being bullied like as queer, as gay, or were you just being bullied as weird? Like, how
Um,
specific was it?
yeah, there was a racial component, a religious component, and then the overarching component of being a sissy.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Interesting. And what was the reaction you would get? Like, were you talking to teachers, talking to parents about this? Like,
Um, I didn't really confide a lot. And again, it was just a, I'm acclimated to being alone.
Yeah.
Um, and especially by that point. And
Hmm.
by that point, I was already self-harming by that point also.
Yeah.
So I had definitely kind of retreated into myself by that point.
Yeah.
Um, so I mostly just learned to defend myself by any means necessary.
You had friends. I mean, you said you're hanging out with girls. Your friends are
Mhm.
girls.
Yeah.
Um, but they are they aware of it, or is it just like, what are they gonna do kind of vibe? Like, what's
Yeah. And I honestly, that is one of the more painful episodes in all of it. Um, Initially, it was just like I had my female friend group, um, and it was kind of a like, we can't do anything to protect you.
yeah.
So you're kind of on your own in that sense. But then as I learned to defend myself against boys, that's when I started to find myself distanced from my friend group as well.
I
Um,
see.
because now all of a sudden I was officially a boy.
You're defending yourself like physically.
Yeah,
Yeah. Um, yeah, that sucks.
yeah. So I was acceptable as a victim, but as
Yeah,
as a defensive
that's
aggressor, I guess.
yeah, something about that caused them to start seeing you as boy more actively than they had been. It's like what it sounds
Exactly.
like. Yeah.
Correct.
Um, yeah. And obviously there's so much wrapped up in all of this, but I know for a lot of people, like middle school age, advent of puberty is when a lot of the first encounters of kind of feelings we describe as dysphoria start to happen. Was that your experience, or like, were you too?
Uh,
You might not have had the bandwidth for any of that, given everything else that's
yes,
happening.
exactly. I was mostly just trying to survive. So
Yeah, yeah,
I
for sure.
honestly, my first inklings of dysphoria would have started in elementary school. Like I knew
Hmm.
that I felt some sort of way about my body, but I was largely dissociated from it.
Yeah,
And then in puberty, of course, just kind of amplified that and just continued to ramp up. And I would say like a acute awareness of social dysphoria kicked in right about high school, actually.
okay. Um, Great. And let's move on to high school then. Not great, but transition word. Um, yeah, before we leave middle school altogether, any other parts of middle school that feel of note? Were there any parts of your life that were particularly fun or good? A book series you fell in love with, or were you just like, I am just a turtle for 3 years. Get me out of here.
Yeah, that's a fair question. Intriguingly, like my middle school years, that was the period of movies like The Crying Game, The Caju Falls,
What was
Priscilla,
that
Queen
one?
of the Desert. The Caju Falls, the original French version of The Birdcage.
Oh,
Uh, and um, RuPaul was also starting to make his mark in the world. So
Hmm.
there was a growing vague awareness of who and what I related to and saw myself represented in.
Hmm. Interesting. Um, was that like exciting, scary, a combination of many complex emotions?
I, like I said, it's a weird disconnect that my brain was able to create where I was like, yes, I identify with these at that time, of course, transsexuals, and these high femme male personas. Um, but I still was able to maintain a weird sort of cognitive dissonance about it.
Yeah.
And I I do suspect again that it was one of those situations where my mom has been very much aware of what was going on, but not sure of
Hard for her
how
not to be,
exactly to address
probably.
it. Yeah.
So, like, would she have been like, "Oh, hey, what are you doing tonight? I just rented La Cage aux Folles. If you want to watch it
Ex-
with me."
exactly. Quite
Oh,
literally.
wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. Like, so far, like, not knowing anything else about the story between you and your mom and not knowing you or your mom, so far, like, she's a fairly sympathetic character in this story of someone who seems very ill-equipped to handle a, a, a genderqueer child doing
Yeah.
trying.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's that's really interesting. I mean, would she just like ask you about it, or was she just kind of like, here, my child who I know is suffering, like, here's just stuff. Does that help?
Pretty much. Yeah. It's
Wow.
like, yeah, I think it was like, I think my kid would probably like this. Maybe they'll relate. Maybe they'll feel less alone. Sort of
Huh.
vibe.
I mean, to me, that's such an unexpected, not like an unexpected thing for a mom to do. Like, obviously, there's all kinds of moms, and
Yeah.
everybody exists in a bunch of different, of their own little separated cognitive dissonances. But like, I guess my guess, my bias would have been a black boomer Jehovah's Witness mom who cares about social acceptability and is a Jehovah's Witness, would have been doing everything she could to keep you away from becoming aware of like queerness as an identity or anything. And so it's just so interesting that
Yeah.
this is how she was handling it.
Yeah. So I guess the footnote here that should be covered. My parents are Jehovah's Witnesses for vastly different reasons.
I see.
So my dad's devotion, I think, is more in what people would expect from a Jehovah's Witness. It's just being devoutly and conservatively Christian and wanting to live as strict and pure of a biblical lifestyle as possible. My mom's reasoning, on the other hand, was that my mom was raised to be a Southern belle and resented
Hmm.
it. So
Where did she grow up?
she grew up in Chicago, but my
Okay,
grandparents are all Northern migration.
got it.
So she was still raised within that culture. And my mom was a tomboy growing up.
Hmm.
Um, so she resented having to wear these big frilly dresses and the white lace gloves and all that
Yeah,
business. Um, so for her, being a Jehovah's Witness meant more of not having to deal with elaborate birthday parties, not having to deal with these elaborate holiday observances that required her to be all frilly and dolled up.
Yeah.
And also, she hates the government, and so do Jehovah's Witnesses. So,
Yeah, they do.
yeah,
That's so
so
interesting. So becoming a Jehovah's Witness is a way of like escaping what you had been experiencing as this uh, like claustrophobic cultural expectation. Um,
exactly.
it's like I'm just going to do the one. Oh, that's so fascinating.
Yeah,
Um, and that makes sense then. That explains a lot. Uh, explains nothing. I don't know your mom yet, but that helps me make sense of it in my own head. I can understand. It's a more processable psychology to me as someone who had grown up very forcefully at odds with their own gendered expectations than having a lot of sympathy for that within their child. Um,
exactly.
okay, thank you for that context. Um, and so you're like encountering this stuff in middle school. You're being bullied for, a lot of reasons, being
Yeah.
different, being a sissy. But um, were you able at that age to look at a RuPaul or look at, one of the drag queens in La Cage aux Folles and you described it before as like you were able to keep these sort of like compartmentalized associations, but like at this point some part of you was definitely identifying with them. If I'm just trying to,
Oh,
if you already, yeah,
absolutely. Yeah,
yeah.
it was more of a deep admiration and
Mm,
kind of I wish I could be this
yeah,
person type
yeah.
mentality.
Interesting. And you were aware of transsexuals already at this time?
Yes, via the Crying Game and Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
Interesting. Because so the Crying Game, for future context, 521 years from now, you might not know. Uh, the Crying Game is a very sad, based on a true story movie about a trans man in, is it
Oh
Montana?
no, nope.
Oh, I'm thinking the wrong fucking movie here.
Yeah, that's Boys Don't Cry.
Oh my god, I get those two mixed up every single time. Okay, the Crying
No,
Game is
no,
about a
it's
trans woman which, in an Irish Republican army. Uh,
correct. Yes.
Fascinating. Okay, very different movies. I was like, it's so interesting you're bringing up um, what I had in my head as the Crying Game.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I didn't relate much to that one, but okay. It just scared me. Um, okay, thank you. There you go, future. Even I, the undisputed oracle of the past, make mistakes. And I'm actually not familiar with Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. And so instead of making a further fool of myself, can you just briefly tell the future what that is?
Yeah, so Priscilla, Queen of the Desert is an Australian film about three drag queens who go off into the desert um, to, for one of them to reconnect with her estranged wife and son.
Hmm.
So the three drag queens, you have a bisexual who is technically, the main character, and then a just flaming twink who I desperately want it to be, and an elderly transsexual.
Is Guy Pearce the flaming twink? Or
Yes,
is it
yes.
okay?
Ironically enough,
Um,
yes,
and an elderly transsexual. Um,
yes.
fascinating. But you wanted to be the twink.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Just so glamorous, so fun, so free. Yeah, very,
Amazing.
very appealing.
Yeah. And great. So that's like those movies would have made your associations with transsexuals at this time, which is great. I mean, it's so interesting. Like, so I was born in 1992, and obviously these movies existed, but I feel like I didn't know trans people existed. I didn't see any movies like this. And I don't know if that's a thing that is just the random chaos of our individual youths or if that's something else that changed in those 10 years because I've met other trans women who are like my age who also had my experience of like I didn't really know trans people existed until college.
Yeah.
um
For me, it was very hypothetical, I guess is the
yeah.
thing. Like it was something that I could relate to and find inspiration in, but it wasn't perceived as an option of something that I could personally be, if that
Mm.
makes sense.
Oh yeah, 100%. um yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me as cis people watching might not quite understand that, but
Yeah.
I
I think also
yeah.
being born in the 90s, it's it's such a fascinating and bizarre thing to explain to people because there's good reason you would not have known about transness at all in the 90s. I think that was definitely an intense backlash period.
Mm.
Um, like even though the 80s was the AIDS crisis, as far as gay bashings, that was more of a 90s phenomenon,
Mm.
um, where it was very inhospitable, um, pretty much wherever you were in the
Yeah.
90s.
Is
So
that
additional context that's important for like Priscilla Queen of the Desert, that movie was important and its historic place in things is that it came out, I think, 1 or 2 years after homosexuality was decriminalized in Australia.
oh wow. Yeah, it came out in
So
1994
yeah,
according to Wikipedia.
yeah. So I think that's
um
2 years after Australia decriminalized
mm.
officially homosexuality.
Yeah, I mean it's also just interesting that you're watching an Australian movie, a French movie, like it's I wasn't watching international films. It's not like you're seeing this stuff in American films, I guess. Although RuPaul would
Yeah,
have been an American cultural figure.
yeah.
Um, but you're experiencing that 90s cultural shift. Is that like a thing that you could clock as it was happening? Because you're moving into high school, you're in high school for the bulk, for a large
Mhm.
part of that.
Yeah, I was definitely very aware of the violence and hostility um, that was present. And then, um, yeah, then in
Yeah.
Wisconsin, in high school, definitely very isolated. I think I probably would have had a better chance of finding community in on the East Coast, honestly, but
Yeah.
wasn't
So
to
you're in
be.
another white suburb in Wisconsin now for high school.
Exactly.
Small town?
Yes, very small. I always joke, you know that
Interesting.
a town is small if it's named after the state it's in and a geographic feature that just happens to be there. So I went to high school in Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin. So it was just
Oh
a
wow.
paper mill town that the Wisconsin River flows through.
Hmm. And you mentioned earlier that it was in high school when you first started feeling what you'd describe as social dysphoria.
Yes.
Can you tell
Uh,
me what that means?
yeah. So I think in middle school, I just knew that I wasn't fitting in. I knew that there was something amiss with me more broadly or generally. But in high school is when I started to recognize that it was a gendered issue,
Hmm.
um, where I was very keenly aware. And I remember consciously altering my behavior and mannerisms and vocal tones and things to make myself pass as a typical male.
Hmm. Interesting. Do you remember like this any of the specifics of what you were changing? It's okay if you
Um,
don't. I'm just
yeah, I started to learn that, if I expressed too much emotion, that got me classified as a sissy or whatever. I was informed by some of my older brother's friends that I carried my books, through the hallways like a girl, or I wore my backpack like a girl, things of that sort. Consciously made an effort to walk more with shoulders less swish in the hips, all of
yeah.
that business.
Wow. Were they your brother's friends? Were they telling you that as like to help you, or was it a like mocking you?
I think in their minds they were being helpful.
Somewhere in the middle, then maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. And were you able to be successful at playing the role of boy?
Um, Not at that point, no. I'm really
Yeah.
bad at it. I'm really bad at it. But I was starting to learn to fake it a little better.
Yeah. I know like at at sort of like the broad levels of culture and there's like a lot of associations between blackness and masculinity
Mhm.
and like I know that's something that like a lot of black women talk about experiencing like being seen as masculine uh, and this was just kind of a curiosity I had was that did you like feel anything that seemed to be resonating with that cultural connection between black like being black and masculinity was it like did
Uh,
it yeah
I knew that I it's complicated, to be honest.
yeah
With my extended family, there were some members of my family where I knew I needed to fake masculinity harder in order to be acceptable in my behavior. Um, but then, like, my mom's dad also had a very peculiar worldview, um, that gave me a certain semblance of safety.
are you able
Um,
to expand on that peculiar worldview
yeah, the the best way I can explain
yeah
is that, so my grandfather, I will suffice it to say, he was a union official in Chicago, and he swore by surrounding himself with effeminate men because, in his worldview, they were generally more trustworthy and loyal.
huh all right that's
Yeah.
interesting so there you go a little anthropological nugget this is this one unique belief held by this one black union guy who'd come from
Yeah.
the South to Chicago, uh, early 20th century ish.
Yeah, he
Cool.
swore by it.
I
Absolutely.
like that. That's fun. Yeah. That's so interesting. Okay. Uh, yeah, that's interesting. I guess my initial question, I was thinking more about like the ways I've heard. I'm out of my wheelhouse talking about any sort of like Black cultural criticism here. So, uh, but I more meant like the way that like white culture perceives Black people as more masculine, and I was kind of
Oh, that was
curious
never
if
going to
that.
happen for me.
Yeah, I mean, I was wondering if at initially, like the more you were describing, I was like, oh yeah, well that doesn't seem like you'll benefit from that. But I was also wondering if that might have even like heightened the standards people were holding you to, like even your white peers, or like was it like harder for you to pass as boy than it would have been for like a similarly queer white kid, or did you not have
I,
that?
I don't know. I honestly can't speak to that because I'm very, very gay.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Were there other like queer kids in your high school or people you thought might be queer?
Um, Definitely not within what should have been my dating pool, by any stretch of the imagination. Um, so I just found my semblance of community initially with another all female friend group. Like that's where I exist.
Yeah.
um, but all of my friends initially were a year ahead of me. So when all of my girlfriends graduated, I found my little pocket of safety among punks.
Hmm.
So, not,
Big punk scene, Wisconsin Rapids, circa 1999.
yep, absolutely. It's the
Fuck
Midwest.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, lots of punks in the Midwest. But yeah, so not technically queer. I don't think any of them would identify with the community now as adults, but there was definitely more of a generalized acceptance of anything
Hmm.
that veered from the norm.
That's great. Um. Hell yeah. Were there other black students around in your school or no?
Nope, I was the only one. The uh the So funny thing in Wisconsin Rapids, the only other black student in my high school was an East Indian girl,
Oh, okay.
and
Yeah.
yeah, she was classified as broadly black because it's the middle of
Sure.
Wisconsin.
Yeah. I mean that tracks with the very little I know about the middle of Wisconsin.
Yeah,
And yeah, I mean, what doesn't? I didn't know there would have been such a big punk population. That's great. I love that.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah. Where there's
Uh,
nothing to do, you'll find punks.
Great. Is this like um the punk community, 1999, Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin? Are these people who would have been like politically punk music? Was there like an aesthetic? Like in what ways was this punk?
Yeah, it would have been all of the above. Wisconsin tends towards like hardcore.
Hmm.
Lots of crust punks, very politically minded, anarchist, that sort of vibe.
That's great. I wish I'd had that community as a teenager. Um,
Yeah,
I went to a fancy preppy private school, so I didn't know those kids.
yeah.
They
I mean, there were
yeah,
pros and cons to it. There was
for
the
sure.
appeal of having a social circle where no one cared what you did at all.
Yeah.
You could do absolutely any outlandish batshit behavior that popped into your head, and someone would probably be there cheering you on. But you also, well, at least in my case, might have to sneak out of the back door of a house party when the Nazis showed up. So,
Oh, okay. So there was like an actual also skinhead scene here, Nazi scene here.
yeah.
Okay, maybe not skinhead. I know that's got a that's more of like a British complicated
Yeah,
history. Um,
exactly. Yeah, so I
uh,
learned the difference between Nazis and skinheads real quick.
yeah,
I had
yeah,
skinhead friends, not Nazi friends.
yeah. That's the correction I had to. I'm learning. Yeah, it's funny. My girlfriend is very much like Oakland punk girl, trans girl,
Yeah,
um, and so now I've learned a lot through her and meeting a lot of her friends, and it's been fun. But that was definitely one I had to learn. Like that's just an association that got burned into my head by pop culture, I guess.
yeah,
That's just a lie,
exactly.
or a complicated. Cool. And so in high school, what were you like? You're failing to be a boy. You're hanging out with girls and then punks.
Hmm.
Are you doing theater? Are
Yep,
you
theater all the way through.
actor, stage, tech, crew, musicals? What's the vibe?
Actor. Yeah,
Yeah,
acting.
nice.
Like I said, acting gave me a lot of cover and excuses to do things that otherwise might get me picked on.
Yeah, for sure. Um, that makes a lot of sense. When you are like hanging out with the punks your last year of high school, was there like did you feel safe and free to be doing more kind of maybe gender bendy or expansive like
Yeah,
dress?
yeah, definitely. And honestly, even my preppier girlfriend group in high school, um, it was like totally accepted that I would try on all their like prom and homecoming dresses and
Oh
things of
wow.
that sort. I just always had to leave the sleepovers before the sleeping part started. So
Yeah, that shit's so annoying. Um,
yeah, but even then, like
my high school frustrations.
yeah, but yeah, in that friend group, myself and the one other boy who hung out in that friend group, we were both declared honorary girls within that friend
Wow.
group. And lo and behold, we both came out as trans in our 30s.
Oh, there was another egg or
Yes,
closeted
exactly.
trans girl. That's
Yeah.
interesting. Were y'all close in high school?
Not really. I think, we're both trying to stay
Yeah.
closeted.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, that's my yeah, my best friend. His name is Scott. He's a very gay man. Uh, we've been best friends since we were 11, and it was always like notable to me that neither of us would talk to the other about relationships or things like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Um, but we didn't end up coming out to each other until we were 24, and yeah, just funny.
Yeah, it's a weird game we all play.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Um, great. And were like at what point was there a point in high school when you started really to think about yourself as like queer? Like where did these labels evolve? I guess I'll do a label check-in, a self-labeling check-in. Last
Yeah,
we heard, you're
absolutely.
in middle school and you're asexual.
Yes. By high school, I had graduate to bisexual, um, but playing around more with a very antiquated term of ambisexual.
Hmm. Was there a difference there?
Yeah, so I'm kind of a nerd. So, and it was the early days of, the public internet. So I did all the personality tests and I was curious. I'm like, what is my sexuality? This doesn't make any sense. And yeah, there was a certain point on the scale of ambisexual, which at that time meant we don't know what you're doing either. Because
So ambi more as in like ambiguous rather than like
exactly.
ambidextrous.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
at least in the mid 90s, I think there was still very much the idea that there were three options. You're
Yeah,
homosexual, bisexual, meaning you're like, either or, 50%, just right in the
50-50,
middle,
yeah.
or heterosexual. And I did not meet any of those criteria. Oh,
Did you like consciously have a bias in one direction or the other? Like what made you not willing to say I'm 50-50?
yeah. So this is where it gets fun. uh, I genuinely believed that my preference was for women.
Okay. And the way you say that suggests it's not where you've ended up?
Not even remotely. No, I am I am extremely androphilic. But I think it's mostly rooted in, sort of my baseline asexual tendencies.
Hmm.
So, though I am sexually attracted to men and masculinity, men were a threat to me.
Yeah.
Whereas I had these very deep, meaningful, um, emotional connections with women, and therefore, you know, clearly I prefer women, was my thought
Yeah,
process.
I can understand that. Um that's I don't think that's like an unreasonable conclusion, of
Yeah,
course. Ambisexual just as a historical label is interesting. It feels like something about the word feels outdated, but
it's
like
horribly outdated.
right, but the meaning as you describe it kind of feels very akin to just the way people use the word queer to describe their
Exactly.
sexuality.
Yeah.
Um, so it seems like you were onto something there.
Yeah.
Early internet. How old were you when you first got on the internet?
um, Probably like, I want to say 12,
Oh wow,
13, somewhere in there. Yeah.
pretty
Early, ad-
young.
early adopter. Yeah.
I mean, that's 93, 94. That's like
Yeah.
very early internet.
hmm
Was this something your parents, like, were your parents early internet adopters?
My uncle, um,
Uncle.
yeah, is a career soldier, so
Okay.
um,
So he,
definitely wanted me to get into like computer programming and things of that sort.
he was like, you got to get on this DARPA net shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
You need to enter this wasteland of just
wow.
human filth and degradation.
Was there a reason that, like, was he saying this to you and your brothers, or was he saying, like, no, you'd be good at this?
I think he assigned it to me because I seem to have the least direction.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's kind.
yeah. So my
Yeah.
oldest brother showed a very early aptitude for like visual arts and cinema, and kept with that pretty clearly. Um, and then my brother, who's closer in age to myself, was determined to go into paleontology, um,
These are
until
two very cool brothers. Okay, yeah, until.
yeah, until college, and realized that there was a lot more sciencey stuff involved than he felt like doing.
It's not just dinosaurs.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I was still very much the sort of, no one knew quite what to do with me.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're on the internet, like you're on. Yeah, it's so interesting. Like, where are you going in high school in the mid '90s when you're like trying to find out your sexuality? Where is this happening? You said it was a quiz.
Yeah, yeah, you could find like personality quizzes and like sexual identity things. It, it was a free for all.
Yeah, I mean, is this stuff you're finding through forums or these people's like one-off websites? Like, where are
Just
you?
one-off obscure websites that would now probably be classified as the
Yeah,
dark web. But yeah.
Oh, okay. Like, were you in contact with people? Did you have an online community in high school?
My online, again, giant nerd. My primary social contact via the internet was the X Files chat forum. Uh,
I mean, yeah, that's very relatable to me. Um that's fun. I
yeah,
I grew up born in 92, so like uh by high school everyone in my age cohort was on the internet, not like they are now. Like social media didn't
yeah,
exist in the way it does exactly. Facebook was brand new. But like I definitely had friends encountering awful shit on 4chan by that
yeah.
point. And I spent all my time on tarvalin.net, the Wheel of Time roleplay forum. So, yeah, so I that my nerdery kept me safe from some of the darkest corners of
Right?
the internet.
Yes.
Uh, so you had you had an online community in this X Files or X Men. I'm sorry, which
Yeah,
one
X
was it?
Files.
X
X
Files.
Files, yes.
Yeah, was there a like was there discussion of queer topics there, or were y'all really just like when are Scully and Mulder gonna fucking do it?
Mostly those conversations. Yeah.
Yeah, love that. That's fun. Okay. Great. So by the end of high school, you're a cool punk,
Definitely not cool, but
ambisexual.
yeah, definitely
In my mind,
punkish.
in my image of you, you're very cool.
Thank you.
Uh, I mean, look, like the 1999 punk on the X Files forum to me is cool. Uh, was ambisexual an external label, or is this like a thing just inside?
That was just something I knew. I By that point I did openly identify as bisexual.
How is that? How is that received?
Um, Among my very unique niche friend groups, it was
Yeah,
kind of a non-issue.
amazing.
Yeah.
Did the your fellow closeted trans girl in high school, did she follow you to the punks, or was she one of the girls the year older?
She hid away by being an honor student.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's the other
Yeah,
route you can take. Uh,
exactly. Yeah, she went
yeah,
with like just being hyper responsible, um,
yeah.
doing all the right things, and I went with let's see what the criminals are up to. And,
Hey,
yeah,
you know what? But it's those honors kids who become the biggest criminals.
right.
Bernie Madoff wasn't hanging out with the punks.
Yeah,
uh, did you go to college?
I did briefly. I went to UW Milwaukee
Okay.
from
Right after high school?
2000 to 2001. Yep.
Nice. Did you have a goal going there, or was this just like a college is what you do? Like, what was the vibe?
Um, First and foremost, college is what you do. Everyone in my family has a minimum of one graduate degree.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that was just the expectation. I went for theater because, again, I don't know how to do anything else. I don't have practical skills.
That's what you like.
Yeah, exactly. Uh,
Well,
but yeah,
your oldest brother went for film, visual arts.
yes, this is true.
Yeah, so this wasn't like a crazy thing in the context of your family, it sounds like.
True. Exactly.
What does your mom do? Your dad's in advertising.
Oh, my mom, primarily in education.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, my mom's an English teacher of many different grade levels.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. So
nice.
my mom has a master's degree in dental hygienics and a master's degree in education.
Okay. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that's good. Nice career change, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And then my dad master's is in marketing and communications with an English minor. So yeah,
Great.
yeah.
Cool. Um, what was college like?
Um, College was a hot mess. I definitely was not in college for necessarily the right reasons or
If
directed in any sense. I tried really hard to be a good kid, but
if I remember correctly, college is when you had your first hookup with a boy.
yes,
Were
yes,
you was there a queer community at college you were able to join?
ish. And that's so I joined the Rainbow Alliance right away when I got
Okay.
there, thinking that I would find my people, my community. I did not. Well, I did and didn't. It's complicated. I instantly got along with lesbians, especially genderqueer lesbians.
Yeah.
They're my
They're
folks.
great. Shout out lesbians. Yeah.
Exactly.
It- yeah.
I lesbians are the best. They're amazing. Um, Gay men did not like me at all,
Hmm.
which kept me feeling very isolated in some sort of way and very confused about who and what I was.
Yeah. Did you have a sense of like at that point, is that how you were trying to identify? And did you have a sense of what it was that they were rejecting?
I did not understand what was being rejected. Um, I there was the vague semblance because 2000 2001, that was still the era of no fats, no femmes.
Hmm.
Um, but it still didn't fully connect in my mind what I was doing wrong. Um, Now, in retrospect, I understand that, in the terminology of the day, I was technically a fag hag, but it was very confusing.
That's the
I didn't,
terminology of the day. That was the official label.
yes, yes,
Okay.
but I didn't realize that. I
Okay.
didn't
This
realize that.
is a new word for me. I'm looking it up.
Oh yeah,
Oh, I see. Okay. Um,
yes,
got it. So a fag hag is a woman who hangs out with gay men.
yes,
Got it.
yeah,
Um, oh, I see. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah. But I
yeah.
mean,
That
what are you gonna do? Date a straight guy?
Yeah. Well, actually, the answer is make out with a lot of straight guys at house parties and frat parties, which again led to a lot of confusion. Because I
Interesting.
was really determined by that point. I'm like, I am going to be gay.
Yeah.
Let's just simplify my life, especially
Easy
since,
peasy.
like, yeah, so many of my friends were lesbians, and it wasn't the point at which like I was trans, so I was not being treated as a woman per se.
Hmm.
Um, just inundated with genderqueer lesbians. So I'm not, again, in that context, I'm not going to try to date my friends. That would
Yeah.
be weird and predatory. I don't want to be that dude. So I'm like, I'm definitely going to catch all the dick I can while I'm in college. Um, but gay men wanted nothing to do with me, and straight men, for whatever reason, were very apt and thrilled to make out with me at parties. But then if I tried to go any further than that, they would spring the no homo thing.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Um, but you're not. Are you presenting femme, or are you in their
My
eyes they're making out with a boy, or like what's?
Yeah, yeah. My presentation was interesting. We'll say that. That's where I get the
Okay.
vocabulary of gender bending. That was one of my mom's go-tos, and that was the other thing. So the dark side of my otherwise supportive and affirming mom,
Mm.
there was still in her mind there needed to be some explanation for my behavior. So even growing up, lots of frequent check-ins to make sure that I wasn't being molested or anything as
Oh
an
yeah.
explanation for my behavior.
Yeah.
And then, my wardrobe by the end of high school into college, she let me know was gender bendy and things of that sort. Um, So
I see.
I always found excuses to incorporate elements of feminine attire into my wardrobe while
Interesting.
otherwise presenting as a man.
Yeah. Um yeah, the making out with the the guys at the house parties and frat parties is just really interesting to me. Um in public or in like they'd pull you into a room.
It would depend. Um, yeah, I don't know why it didn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't make a lot of sense in
I mean there's a lot of
retrospect. Didn't make a
queer
lot of sense then.
there's a lot of queer, uh straight presenting guys still trying to figure themselves out in college too.
True.
So, yeah. Cool. Um earlier you described yourself as androphilic. Would that to you include a like mask or butch presenting lesbian or a non-binary person, or do you mean that like you're attracted to like men?
Um, I say I mean men, but ultimately, yes, it most definitely includes anyone notably more masculine than myself.
Totally. Okay, so when you are in this crowd in your lesbian and sort of gender non-conforming lesbian community in college, it's not that none of those lesbians would have been of interest to you. It's uh,
Yeah, I
okay,
just knew that it was against the rules.
I see. Which is crazy that you're saying that because, as far as I understood it, the only reason someone becomes a trans woman is to force lesbians to be interested in them. But
Our secret conspiracy. Arr!
yeah,
Yeah, no.
wow. Okay. Leave college, not working out for you. You're not catching all
Yeah,
the dick that you wanted to catch. The gay men are being mean, and you can't date these lesbians anyway. Um,
exactly.
is this Portland? Is that the next move?
Uh, so there's a brief window of moving back in with my mom. Um, and then really loneliness kicked in. My exit from college involved a bit of a nervous breakdown
Hmm.
because I had just hit the point where I had no idea who or what I was at all, to the extent of literally not believing myself to exist.
Yeah.
Um, so in the loneliness and lifelong isolation of that, I think I committed myself more decisively to passing as a more or less heterosexual man
Hmm.
because in my mind it was easier. Like those were my options. Like my options within being a man and finding companionship. Clearly the problem was me. So I just
Yeah.
needed to be as man as possible.
Yeah. Um, This is your conclusion as a result of like finding out that gay men were not accepting you into their community.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that's so tragic. And yeah, um, at the same time, the somewhat of the irony there is if you just dedicated yourself to passing as a masculine man, you also probably would have done fine with the gay men because
Yes, exactly.
ultimately it's just misogyny. But
Yeah, which I've come to realize now, many years
yeah,
later.
yeah. That's actually 20-year-old mental breakdown, Dahlia.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
yeah. Um, it's it's amazing how often I meet how many cis people I meet who I'll have to try to like explain the concept of like a derealization or depersonalization experience to them when I don't think I've like met a trans person who can't to some degree understand what you're talking about.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
Weird thing about being told by everyone that you're something you're not your entire life.
yeah,
Yeah, it might
yeah,
have
it's
psychological effects.
yeah, it might fuck with you. It might fuck with you. Um, yeah, I had a lot of moments in college of like that same age of every time I'd go down the stairs, I got to reach out and touch this wall to make sure it's there. Like, make sure
Yeah.
any of this shit is real. Um, okay, how long were you back with your mom?
So that only took like a year and a half, for me to land myself in a marriage of sorts. So
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
you were actually you did great job actually as a heterosexual man. You really pulled it off, I guess.
yeah, yeah.
Um, were you a
All I had
Jehovah's
to do was
Witness
be
man?
toxic. No, no, no. By that point, I realized there was just no reconciling um, that
Okay, so
aspect.
that wasn't part of the like resigned performance of like, oh, I guess I'll just fucking be Jehovah's Witness too. Why not?
No, no.
Um,
That I knew wasn't going to happen. Being embraced by the punk scene spared
yeah.
me of that aspect of my life.
Is this something you're still part of? Like you've returned now? Are you still you're back in Wisconsin Rapids?
Um, for which part?
When you move back in with your mom, is that back
Oh
in
yeah, yeah. That's
Wisconsin
Wisconsin
Rapids?
Rapids. Yeah.
Did you like re-find a home with the punks or
No. Just a lot of drugs. Did a lot of
a
drugs.
lot of drugs?
Did
Yeah.
just so many drugs, and some toxic behaviors. Yeah, I
Now,
mastered the arts of toxic masculinity and found myself a wife.
you're born in 1981, you're in college for a year and change, and then you're
Mhm.
back living with your mom for a year. So, right around now, 9/11 is happening. Where does it fit in
Correct.
on this timeline?
Yep. You.
Is it
Yep. That would be moving back in with my mom. Yeah. Yeah,
okay?
and mopping the floor of the laundromat attached to the gas station I worked at and looking up at the TV and seeing a plane crash into the Twin Towers. Yes.
Yeah, it's just a great time all around. Okay, tell me about this marriage of sorts.
Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, yeah, I found an artsy, punkish girl to marry and move out to Portland, Oregon with. Because also, again, very traditional young girl, I couldn't move out of my mom's house until I was married. Uh,
Was that actually a
uh,
consideration?
it was not a consideration, just my natural behavior.
Got it. Okay. So you find you. So you keep saying like marriage wife of sorts. Did you get married?
I very much got married. I
Okay.
shouldn't have gotten married. It was
Yeah.
I mean, there are good sides to it. We have a kid. Well, a grown
Huh.
man now, but yeah. Uh, so that part's great, but yeah, we were a dreadful, awful, mutually abusive, toxic couple.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, you had a kid though.
Yeah.
So, are you close with your son?
Oh, very much so. Yeah. He's
Okay.
fantastic.
Yeah, he's like 24, 23, 24 now.
21. 21. Yep.
21. Okay, so you were
Yep.
married for a little while
As of
then.
today. Yeah.
Oh, happy
I was,
birthday.
yeah, exactly. He
Oh, and
turned
you can
21
drink
today.
now, and you probably need it based on everything that's been going on. Uh,
Yeah, I was
are
married for
you
10
close?
years.
Wow. Um, are you close with your son?
Very close. Yeah.
Is he still in Portland?
Yes. He's one of the greatest people I've ever met. He's fantastic.
Ah, amazing. Um, I love that. And your wife of sorts, that dynamic was not healthy. Um,
At all.
are y'all?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see.
We get
How?
along now.
That's good.
Yeah.
At what point in that 10 years, if it was in that 10 years, like, or I should ask this another way, like, when did you start to think of yourself as trans, or like start to, was there a moment? Was this like a slow progression?
Uh, yeah. So moving to Portland, um, in my 20s, I I worked in a pharmacy at the time, and all the girls would come in for their meds and whatnot.
Hmm.
So that was literally my first like real life interaction with other trans people. And again,
Giving them their estrogen.
exactly. And again, it was the typical for me, like admiration and envy, but
Yeah.
still not really making the personal connection with regards to what was going on for me. I didn't come to terms with that until a year or two after my divorce, is
Oh,
when
wow.
that
Okay.
finally came to a head.
Interesting. Um, yeah, I mean, that's very relatable. I I spent a few years in the space of like, I just wish I were trans so I could transition. Too bad I'm
Yeah,
cis. Um,
exactly.
so I could get that. Yeah, it's
I'm
such
glad
a
I'm not
weird
alone.
space to be in. Yeah.
uh,
Did you like it? Yeah.
yeah, the big reveal moment, the official cracking of the egg, I would say. My first long term relationship after my divorce uh, was with this woman who, to this day, to the best of my knowledge, swears that she is a heterosexual woman. God bless her heart. Whatever works. But But what appealed to me in the relationship was one, she primarily courted me. So that felt really good and affirming. And I was aware of that as that was taking place. Um, she also had this alter ego she would do for costume parties, which was basically any party that she could get away with it. This dude Frank, so she would put on drag, uh, and that was hot for me. And yeah, and sexually
Were you allowed to
interacting.
like hook up with Frank? Oh yeah.
Yes, exactly. Uh, so yeah, there were signs, but
Yeah.
I think the official crack when I realized, okay, maybe I'm doing something weird, uh, she had gone back to Italy for like just a vacation to visit her family, but I couldn't go with. So we decided that we would watch a movie together. We would just watch it at the same time, her in Italy, me in Portland. And I suggested what in my eggy brain was the most romantic film we could watch together, which was The Crying Game, which I now understand is not technically a love story, but that was how I remembered it.
Yeah.
So we watched The Crying Game together, and the moment it ended, she was like, "Hey, do you think you might relate to Dill?" And I remember my exact answer was, "No, Dill's a woman. I just want to be a woman."
Wow.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and that was the moment that finally I'm like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. It turns. uh. Yeah. Um. That's so interesting. Did you tell her that?
Yeah, those are my exact words
Oh,
to
those are your
her.
words out loud. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Wow.
said that out loud in all seriousness and sincerity, like it made sense.
How
And
did
then
she
we just dropped
respond?
it. She
Oh,
just
she
dropped the
didn't.
discussion immediately. Just
Wow.
she's like, "We're not dealing with this right now."
Mamma mia.
Yeah.
That- Damn. And how long did she? Okay, wait. I want to backtrack a little bit. Uh, the 10 years that you're married to your first and potentially only spouse. I don't actually
Yeah.
know. Um,
Yeah. Only one.
it took. You said it took a year and a half for like the kind of trans realization after that divorce. Were there? What about just like more broadly, like queerness, attraction to men? Like, was there stuff coming up for you in that 10 years, or was it like pretty effectively quarantined in your head?
Yeah. Um, I for by the end of my marriage, I had convinced myself that I was an ex-gay.
Okay. Um, that's great. You can make a lot of money that way these days.
Yeah, I know. I missed out on so many grifting opportunities. Uh,
Yeah,
no.
that's what did that mean to you?
Um, so I think the primary issue within my marriage was that my co-parent resented me for not being the man that she wanted her spouse to be, and I resented her for expecting me to behave like a man.
Yeah,
So we just antagonized each other for a decade, um, doing
yeah.
this weird dance.
Hmm.
So towards the end of the marriage, I really tried to commit myself to playing by the rules. Like I
Hmm.
recognized that within our society, I was the problem. You know,
Yeah,
I was able to look at, I'm like, okay, I see these shitty dudes succeeding, these just toxic men who I think are trash always seem to have the upper hand. So clearly, the issue in my life is that I'm not playing by the rules well enough.
yeah,
So I did try to just fully buy in and convinced myself that uh, I was an ex-gay. I remember having an argument with one of my old high school friends who by then had come out as a lesbian, about whether or not people can choose their sexual orientation. And I was
hmm,
like, well, think about me. I was bi all throughout high school, and I have decided to be straight. um yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I convinced myself of some wild shit in order to try to survive.
Yeah, I mean that's what the human brain is best at.
Yeah.
Um, that's that's really interesting. Are you a comedian yet at this time in your life?
No, no. That came in my mid 30s.
Okay. Um, wow. All right. So let's pick up. You've just watched The Crying Game, uh, which is not Boys Don't Cry.
Yeah,
Um, is that
very different
and
movie.
and you've you've expressed you've expressed that I don't relate to Bill. Bill is a woman, and I only want to be a woman. And um, how much longer are you in this relationship with Frank?
That did not last long after that. Particularly uh, to quote her, was too obsessed with my butthole um, because,
Ding,
yeah,
anthropologist. You remember that 521 years
yeah,
from now?
we got there. Yes, it got to a point where I was very, very clear and communicative that I was not interested in penetrative sex that didn't involve me being the one being penetrated, uh, which apparently made her feel some sort of way. But yeah,
But
so
how did
then
Frank feel? Sorry. Um,
he seemed fine with it. I
okay,
never
yeah.
heard any complaints, but whatever.
Yeah, that's
uh, but yeah, after that relationship, uh, I wasn't really, I don't know, I wasn't doing much, so I decided to take up comedy just as a way to kill time, more or
hmm,
less.
hmm.
But as you know, if you go to enough open mics, um, they recruit you. It's a pyramid scheme.
Oh.
So I
Well, I
found
wouldn't know
myself.
because I don't participate in any of that sort of predatory stand-up comedy world. I only do improv.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah, y'all actually have like
That's a little
social
comedy
skills.
scene, little comedy
Yes.
scene joke for you in the
Yes.
future. Improv follows the exact same recruitment pyramid scheme model. Um,
uh,
okay, so you were
yeah.
going at first just attending.
Yeah. Just for the sake of doing something. Um, and again, from my generation, I was influenced by the comics of my era, the Dave Chappelle's, the Louis C.K.'s. I wish I didn't have to name all these problematic dudes, but also that's the era of comedy I grew up with.
It's true.
Um,
Yeah,
but
I mean,
luckily for
no one's
me,
saying they aren't funny.
yeah, exactly. Luckily for me, though, I started doing comedy in Portland, and
Yeah.
at the time that I started doing comedy here, our scene, the biggest names, the most influential producers and whatnot were all women
Hmm.
and not tolerating any of the generic, hacky, toxic dude bullshit. Um,
That's great.
so I didn't get to hide behind that facade for very long.
Okay, so that's how you started with your comedy.
Yeah.
Damn,
And,
one thing about women, they don't want to peg me.
exactly. Pretty much, right? Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good shit. Where are you, like, in your personal queer journey, self understanding when you started comedy?
Yeah, so I started comedy as a self-professed gender non-conforming bisexual man.
Okay, so we've returned to this. You've left your relationship. You're too focused on your butthole, and you want to be a woman. And
Yeah.
you've been able to find a return, a triumphant return to queerness.
Yes.
You're an XX gay.
Yes, exactly. Back essentially to what I thought at that point was baseline. Um, and then it just cascaded from there, pretty
Got it.
much.
Yeah. And this is something I'm particularly interested in just because of my personal, like, the ways that for me, starting improv and my own like trans journey ran in parallel. Like, did you find that comedy just happened to run in parallel for you? Did like how did comedy influence, if at all, your
Yeah,
your like queerness?
absolutely. And I think it was because in order to write compelling comedy, at least from my perspective, you have to be your truest self. And it's just yourself writ large. So I, in order to write jokes that were compelling and convincing coming out of my mouth, I had to reconcile who was telling the jokes to begin with.
Hmm.
Um, and I remember, you know, talking to dude bro comics, um, and they're like, "Ugh, you write like a chick, you blah blah blah," and I'm like, "Yeah, that makes sense."
That makes sense to
So
me. Yeah.
yeah, so the facade just
Yeah.
kept having to kind of fall away.
Interesting. And how like what year was it? How old were you when you finally like at least internally shifted from gender non-conforming bisexual man to like trans?
Yeah, so 2016 is when I came to the conclusion that gender nonconforming did not quite capture what I was trying to express to people when I was
Hmm.
explaining myself or my context. And like, that's not quite what I mean. This is a completely different thing. This is not man. What I'm doing.
Yeah.
Um, and
Is that how you
then
felt like you were being read up to that point?
yeah, and it led to a lot of confusion, I think. And I didn't like the assumptions that were still being tied to me within this concept of myself as a man. And like, no, that's not me. That's not what's going on. Um, so then in 2016, I'm like, okay, clearly I'm non-binary. That's fine because I still, for whatever reason in my mind, I'm like, I need permission to claim womanhood. Like
Hmm.
how can for in my mind, how could I possibly justify conceiving of myself as a woman when I've lived 3 decades of my life ostensibly as a man?
Are you are you able to remember what it was like what that proof or justification would have looked like? Like what was it in your experience that separated you from one of these girls you used to help at the pharmacy? Like
Yeah. In my mind, the distinction was the absolute certainty.
hmm,
My conception of transness at that time was that a a true transgender person, basically from early childhood, knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that they were this specific gender and there was no alternative. There was no other way they could possibly exist in the world, was the misconception I had, because that was obviously the popular uh, verbiage of the day. You had to
Yeah.
know. So
Yeah, for sure. The
since I just had the desire, but without the certainty in my mind, that made me something else.
Were you ever, just because it's a particular term of interest to me, were you ever, did you ever encounter words like autogynephile or any other sort of labels that you felt like were, I don't know, hindrances or like confusing terms in your ability to accept yourself as legitimate enough trans woman?
Yeah. I did not encounter the term autogynephilia or whatever nonsense until after I had fully reconciled my own gender identity.
Hmm.
Um, but I knew that I didn't want to be a cross dresser. That
Yeah.
much I knew. I knew that I was decidedly wearing, dressing as a woman. Um, but it was very important to me at that time that everyone knew that I was not cross dressing.
Yeah. Did that include like cross-dressing is a that's a specific word. I know you know that, but some
Mhm.
people watching this in the future who might not be as familiar with our modern language, um, did that for you include notions of drag, or was that
I
because
made a distinction. Um, Drag for me, especially at that time, really refers to a profession.
hmm,
It is Drag is an art form. Um, for me, cross dressing meant dressing as a a sex or gender that you are not outside of a purely artistic expression.
hmm,
And for me, I was not dressing contrary to my self perception.
I see. Did you ever do drag?
No. In fact, I did the thing that I now always try to take recently out girls aside about. I did the early trans girl thing of I don't like drag. It's so invalidating. It like
Yeah.
I don't even know what sort of bullshit rationale I had for why drag was problematic to my
No,
identity.
I did too. I had a similar relationship to it, especially my first few years of coming out.
Yeah,
I came out
I
in
think a lot of us do.
2018, but I think especially like coming out, I came out in 2018, but like that 2016 to 2018 era was like peak every straight cis girl I knew being obsessed with Drag Race. And
Yes,
like that's just how, and a lot of my friends were women. And like it just would be so frustrating that every time I would come out to someone, like there's like a 70% chance that's how they'd try to relate to me is through Drag Race somehow.
that part. Yes,
And I'd just be like, I don't watch it. I don't know anything about it. Please
exactly.
please don't call me queen. Um, yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. We
so
yeah
I
we came to terms with it around the same time. Yeah, 2018 was
yeah.
my official leap from non-binary to
Oh wow,
woman as
nice.
well. Yeah.
Yeah. What was it that, if anything, it might just have been time, but was there anything that like helped you make that final shift in how you thought about it, or that finally helped you feel like you had permission?
Yeah, I think the final Step for me. So I was going with they, them pronouns, and society being society, uh, no one would default to they, them. They would always default either to he, him, which took as an insult, or they would default to she, her, which caused gender euphoria.
Hmm.
And if people were interacting with me um, based on the assumption that I was a woman, I'm like, dope, this is great. I feel affirmed and comfortable. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. I'm like, okay, fine. I give up. I know what I'm doing now. I get it.
Yeah. That, I mean, I love hearing that because I'm a big advocate of like, not everyone, like, there are those people who are like, I've known since I was forever.
Yeah,
Um, I think
but
for
they're
so many of
few
us,
and far
though,
between.
yeah, I think for so many trans people, queer people of all kinds, like, it really is an empirical question that it's just hard to get evidence for because you're not allowed to experiment and play in the like realms of gender and sexuality often.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that's why people make jokes about the like he him to he they to they them to they she
Yes.
like pipeline and I like those jokes can frequently look and be disrespectful to people who like are non-binary, but
Yeah.
the reason you see that trend happening is because it's scary and people like it. Also, just that is an experience a lot of people have as a way of dabbling and playing and gathering evidence of like, wait, is this what I want? Like, it's a
Yeah.
it's helpful to know, oh, this person in the green room who doesn't know me just is calling me she, and that felt great. But
Exactly.
uh
I also
yeah.
even had friends who were like, "So, can we just start calling you she now? Because this feels weird." People were like,
Interesting.
I kind of feel like I'm misgendering you. Can we please stop?"
From a place
I'm
of
like,
kindness.
yeah.
Were there a lot of like was there a lot of trannery, ding future? Was there a lot of transness in the Portland comedy scene in like 2016, 17, 18?
No, there was myself, Chris Ettrick, and Karina Lucas. That was it.
Okay.
Just the three of us.
Damn. Yeah. Um throughout all this, because it's not a thing that's come up as much, was are you on HRT? Are you a medically transitioning person?
Yes. I so my actual trans identity, I do actually self-identify as a transsexual.
Yeah, that's a
Eh,
word I also like to use.
Yeah.
Is that was that something that you consciously wanted? Like to what extent was physical body dysphoria present throughout all this whole experience? And um yeah, like when were you feeling it? When were you able to make the decision that you wanted to be on HRT, etc.?
Yeah. And that's kind of the interesting distinction for me. From the moment I couldn't dissociate from the way my body was and the way my anatomy was, I I didn't like it. It
Yeah.
always struck me as being off, and I was able to work with it because it's the body I had, and I just kind of accepted that as the hand I was dealt. But yeah, that bugged me pretty early on in childhood.
Okay. Yeah, I see. Um and so like that 10 years with your wife, your ex-wife,
Mhm.
were these feelings that you would be conscious of, or like is it one of those like there's a lot of periods of my life where I'm like it's only in retrospect that I can see that it was there, but I like wasn't aware of it going through it, for instance.
Yeah, and by my 20s, I was solidly dissociated from it.
Okay. Um, and when did that start to stop? Like what was it, and when was it that you were starting to reassociate with your body in ways that like allowed you to recognize or re-recognize this kind of desire?
Yeah, after my divorce, like I said, I had really tried to buy into I'm going to be a normal, cis, heteronormative man. Um, and I remember I was like just sitting in front of my full length mirror, and like technically I had achieved that goal in a sense of
Hmm.
looking very masculine in the body. And it weirded me out. It
Yeah.
it felt like something foreign and alien to myself. Um, and I, yeah, I didn't want to be perceived in that light. I, at that moment, I knew that I had, at some time, in some way, divorced myself from myself.
Hmm.
Um, So, yeah, that was the moment at which I'm like, I have to do something, or this is not going to end well.
This is post-divorce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Um,
I realized I had to figure out some way to feminize my physical
in-
form.
Interesting. Uh, yeah. And this is not the most important question, and I know we're already 2 hours into this, but was like booty hole play, is that was that on
Eh,
the table in marriage? Is that something you were like
no,
hoping for?
absolutely not. In my
Okay.
marriage.
Uh,
When I got married, I thought I could get away with not conforming to gender at all. But that was my co-parent had a different vision.
okay.
I think she thought I
I
would
see.
change.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so when you got married, the intention wasn't to, you weren't getting married to become a normal, guy.
No, no.
Interesting.
I
That
knew
just
that I gotten
emerged.
into the marriage by faking it, but I
I see.
believed, yeah, it was very manipulative. I can say that in retrospect. It was very manipulative on my part,
Yeah.
and I do feel bad about that. But
You
I was
also
lonely.
you were 21. It was the middle of the
Yeah,
war on terror. It's
exactly.
it's yeah, that's I see. Um
Choices were made.
and we're at 2 hours here, so how much longer can I hold you, Dahlia?
I have all the time in the world left.
Oh, great, because I'm still fascinated, but I just don't want to keep you too long.
Yeah.
Um, okay. So 2018, you officially come out as trans
Mhm,
to yourself, at least. Is
mhm.
that when you start HRT?
Yeah.
And do you also come out publicly that year?
Oh, yes. Yes. My entire transition has been very public.
Yeah, you're working as a stand-up comic at that point.
Exactly.
Um, and what was it like, as far as you know? Like, what was your relationship like with your son? I mean, even before that, I guess you would have been they theming. You would have already been a mix up there on the stage.
Hmm.
Um, and he would have been young at that point. He would have been what, 11, 12,
But
around the time you
yep,
start doing that.
exactly.
Um, what kind of conversations were you having with him about all this throughout that process?
Um, Oddly enough, not a lot. Um, like I said, my kid's amazing. and he just naturally accepted um, the shifts. And also, honestly, the discussion we have had on it is that I'm a much nicer mom than I was a dad. Because in trying to be a dad, I tried to essentially indoctrinate him the same way that I had been indoctrinated. Like, not as brutally, obviously, he's my kid, but, definitely a lot of these are the rules of the society we live in. You have to learn to play by these rules, blah, 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 blah. And as I lost the ability to fake it, obviously my enforcement of that sort of nonsense also fell away.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think in general people are better parents when they're happier and more
Exactly.
self-actualized. Um, and how did your ex feel about that? Like, was she like, it, yeah,
People who know me for long enough, no one was particularly shocked or surprised. The only people who have feigned any real surprise have been my dad and older brothers.
that's interesting. And you say
Everyone
feigned
else,
surprise.
yeah.
You don't
Because
believe them.
no, not really. I'm like, how? You've known me
Yeah,
my whole life. You've seen me do this. Why are
yeah,
you acting like this is weird now?
yeah. Your friends had to tell me how to hold my books.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so she was just like, yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, she's like, yeah, that checks out. That explains a
Okay.
lot. So,
Okay. I mean, did it pose any potential drama? Like, I mean, I guess she was a artsy punk who moved to Portland, but like, was there any fear on your end or discussion between the two of you that it would impact like whether you'd be allowed to keep parenting your son, or like
yeah,
how what was your thought process there?
yeah, fortunately not. Um, like I said, artsy punk girl. So
Okay.
for
Yeah.
us, even through the early stages of our divorce, when we absolutely hated each other, well, more specifically, she absolutely hated me. Uh, yeah, there was always an understanding between us that we were a terrible couple, but
I
not
see.
terrible parents. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
really,
good.
yeah, let's not
Um,
fuck up our kid any more than we already have, sort of thing.
yeah. Yeah. And what was your mom's reaction when you came out to her?
Um, Mild discomfort initially, um, but I think more rooted in the same sort of fear and concern that she had had my whole life. Um, but ultimately has pretty easily embraced all of it fairly quickly.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's yeah. Um, well, I'm glad she has. Your dad and brothers, have they also been able to come around?
Um, I My dad accepts that there's nothing he can do that will change me.
Hmm.
So it's more of just a reluctant tolerance or acceptance of what is. My oldest brother, um, it took him a while to come around to it, but ultimately he had a similar conclusion of I would rather my baby sister be happy than dead. So
Yeah.
fine, so be it. Um, my brother, who is closest in age to me and my childhood best friend, we go in and out of periods of not talking.
Hmm. Because of this, or just
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, that's a bummer. What's is he like religious still?
Yes.
Is it like a
Yes. He
religious
is
hangup?
very conservatively religious. Um, and uh, has expressed that on a certain level he feels personally betrayed. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah,
Yeah, that's hmm. Yeah, I mean, we can't control how your brother feels, unfortunately, but
no,
it's an interesting way to experience it.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And
yeah,
I knew that going in, and I think that was definitely part of my hesitance. Like I said, we're a very insular family, so
yeah,
that definitely did play a huge role in how long it took me to reconcile um, my own identity and gender,
hmm.
because I didn't want to lose my family, but it
Yeah,
had just reached a point where that was the a risk I had to be willing to take.
yeah. But that was a live risk in your head.
Absolutely. And I
Yeah.
did ultimately cut off contact with my dad and both of my brothers for about a year, um,
Hmm.
for my dad and oldest brother to come to terms with it as best they could.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that at least they've accepted what they can't change.
Exactly.
Yeah. Um. So 2018, all this is happening. You're trans. You're trans now. Um. Your
Hmm.
stage name remains Mix Dahlia Belle.
Hmm.
Uh. Is that intentional?
Yes, actually. um, so oddly enough, I did not become mixed Dahlia Belle until fully reconciling my gender and accepting that I'm a woman. But
Hmm.
I am insistent on forcing people to deal with a gender neutral honorific.
Yeah. Why?
um, because people need to get used to it.
Okay.
I think,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is that? I mean, is this something like is mix how you would prefer like everyone be addressed?
That's up to each individual. It's what I go with personally.
Okay. Um. Yeah, but it sounds like you go with it as sort of like a like philosophical or political act rather than like
In part, yeah. I could remove it from my professional name, but I
yeah,
choose. I insist on having people actually say "Mix Dahlia Bell" when introducing me.
nice. I like that. I think that's fun. you
Yeah,
you should do that.
yeah.
I I like it. Um, what's it what's it been like? If you've had 7 years as a tran, how's it going?
Fantastic. I love myself now. I love my life.
I
Everything makes more sense.
I love that for you.
Yeah.
And like before, because I do want to ask you about sort of like the philosophy of transness, and I want to understand what you think is going
Ooh,
on
yay.
here before I do any major life beats, because I know like the story doesn't end right when you become trans and come out. Like
Exactly.
it's so yeah. Just before we move on to that next kind of broader philosophical segment, run me through any big beats that are important for you to run me through from the last 7 years.
Oh, big beats from the last 7 years. Hmm. I guess the big thing that I've been working on. So obviously, first did the hormonal thing. Um, the last year started my surgical reconciliation with orchiectomy. Fantastic, of course. This year, I got around to breast augmentation and
Nice.
facial feminization. Thus, my peculiar mouth movements. I do apologize. Still partially paralyzed down there, but yeah.
It happens.
Yeah, so
It's
still in recovery there.
I couldn't feel my scalp for 8 months.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, well, congrats on
Thank
these
you.
various surgical reconciliations. Um, is Orky final destination for you there?
No, I have vaginoplasty scheduled for December.
December, very
Yep.
exciting.
Yeah, right around the
Hell yeah!
corner.
I have a my vaginoplasty is scheduled for spring of 2027, and just, just side note on the topic of vaginoplasty, I have so many people who comment on my stuff online who are so worried about me. It says people who don't know me who are so concerned about me, who are like, "Oh, I hope you don't like rush into anything. I hope it's not. I hope you still have. I hope you're still intact because you didn't like just on a
Yeah.
whim do something." Like I made my consultation with this surgeon in July of 2023.
Oh my
Uh,
God.
and my surgery date is spring of 2027. So it's not as easy as y'all seem to think it is. It's
Exactly. Yeah.
it's
We don't do it during recess. Uh,
it's this Family Guy understanding of like walking into a hospital and walking out as a fully transitioned
yeah.
vagina having a Quagmire's dad. Uh,
Yeah. Like you were saying earlier, I think for most of us, for the vast majority of trans people, this is a years long exploration of like, for one thing, we're overcoming what everyone else is saying. It's like we're not somehow divorced
yeah,
from reality. Or like I know how everyone else has addressed me my whole life. I know what everyone else is saying. I see it when I look in the mirror too. It's
no, you're delusional. You think you have a completely
yeah,
biologically female body. It's I don't know what you people think we think. It's crazy.
exactly. It's like we're keenly aware
Yeah,
of what's going on.
I I would say more aware than you are. Any of
Thank
the
you.
ways you think I don't pass, trust me, I know.
Yes. You're like, I know exactly why. I've thought
Yeah,
this through.
yeah. It's slow. It's a long process. Like trend in many ways. Like I always get caught off guard when I hear someone describe themselves, for example, as like transitioned. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, I mean, I guess it's a process you can consider over at some point, but
yeah.
um, I mean, I'm
And that's
7 years
why,
in, and for me, it's very much like I don't know. It's just kind of the process I've entered for the rest of my life.
yeah. And it's honestly why I generally default to the term reconciliation instead of transition
Yeah,
because for me, I don't feel that I am fundamentally changing. who I am or really anything about myself. I'm just pulling all the pieces back together into a complete person.
Hmm. I like that. I like that. Specifically for the surgeries, 100%.
Yeah.
I like. I still like the word transition, but I see it as like a. I like them both, and I don't use it for surgeries. Like to me, transition doesn't refer to any particular medical procedures. It's
Yeah,
just like the
exactly.
what is transitioning is like my relationship. In many ways, there's like social transition. I'm
Yes.
transitioning my social role, how you see me, and like that is changing. Like,
That makes more sense. Yes, exactly.
yeah. And then medical transition for me has a lot more to do with like HRT than the particular surgeries, or
Yes.
and like the process of figuring out what I want my body to be like. Like,
Hmm.
there's also the whole annoying process of like having to just roll the dice and learn what is your body going to do on HRT.
Very true.
Um, which all you cis people who are definitely 2.5 hours into this interview, um, yeah, y'all should know because you've all been through puberty, and it's like no one
Yes.
comes out the same. You know, so some kids go in as a scrawny 11-year-old nerd, and they come out like 6'5" and playing linebacker, and some are like the most athletic boy in their elementary school, and they come out of puberty like 5'2" and a tenor. Like, what are you
Yeah.
gonna do?
We're just reverse engineering the process.
Yeah. Um, but that's like a lot of transitioning for me is also mental. Like the adaptation as your body changes in ways that are fairly unpredictable, of like developing a new relationship with it, and
Yes.
like kind of having to be a little bit result agnostic, if you care about your sanity and mental health.
Exactly.
um, yeah. But yeah, well, congrats on these various reconciliations. These are huge,
Thank
big,
you.
pivotal moments for those who want them, including
Yes.
me. Um, well, that's great. How about like, what does your life look like now? Do you have a partner? Do you?
Yeah. I have a partner of 7 years.
Wow,
Uh,
the whole
yeah.
time.
Yeah, oddly enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Who's
Uh,
your partner?
uh, Cole. My partner is Cole. They use they them pronouns. Um, they're a delightful human being. Also a licensed counselor, so we'll go ahead and note that
Okay.
also for any cishets who stumble upon this, who insist that
Ah,
I need
yes.
to see a therapist.
Yeah. I think if you just like, I'm really saying this out of kindness and concern for you, you really need to find a therapist to help you work through these feelings.
Yeah.
God. Um, that's great. Yeah. How'd you meet
Yeah.
Cole?
Um, okay, Cupid. Before that went completely to shit. So I think we were the last OK Cupid true love success story. At
Beautiful.
least that's our running joke.
Was Cole a they them when y'all started dating?
Yes. We were both they
Okay.
them when we met. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
Nice.
And
And
Cole has also been very affirming and supportive in me coming to terms with myself, um, and not letting me bullshit myself too much.
yeah, is Cole in like a mask of center they them presentationally?
No. Yeah, I don't know that I am at liberty to fully explain Cole.
Oh, yeah,
Cole is
that's
very
fine. That's
Cole.
I Yeah,
Yeah,
I was only asking that specifically because you had specifically described yourself as
yes.
androphilic.
No,
Um,
no, that is a valid question. It is a totally logical question to ask. Uh,
yeah, without getting too much into Cole's business, it's just
yeah, no. Cole is gender fluid,
okay.
but the fluidity kind of goes from femme to neutral,
Okay,
but
got it.
not really into the masculine realm.
Yeah, no Franks here. Are
Exactly.
are y'all monogamous?
That is a very complex question.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yes. Functionally, yes. Technically, polyamorous.
Technically, but
Yeah.
and so far, currently at least, neither of you is indulging.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I get that. Um, 7 years y'all been together, 2018. Yeah, my ex and I started dating in 2019, and we were technically polyamorous, but it was like a year where it's like, yeah, we're just getting to know each other. Neither of us has, we're doing a bunch of transition-y shit. Like neither of us has energy to date.
Right.
And then COVID started, and it's like, oh well, now we just can't date. And so it took us a long time to actively become polyamorous, even though it had very explicitly started that way.
Yes, exactly.
My current girlfriend has like five partners, so she's. But I still don't. I, yeah, I feel you. I've been polyamorous for that basically same length of time, and I've only ever had one partner at a time.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, so you get
yes,
it.
I do. Yeah, it's like it's important to me. Like I would feel claustrophobic if I didn't know that I could if I wanted to. Like
Exactly.
yeah, um, great. So you've been with Cole for 7 years. How is that going? Do y'all live together?
Yeah, we share a home and four cats.
Four cats.
Yeah.
Wow, that's overwhelming. I've got two, and they're too much.
Yeah, yeah. Four cats is a lot of cat, as it
That's a
turns
lot of
out.
cats.
Yeah.
Um, great. Yeah, I mean, no, like major big political, geopolitical upheaval in those 7 years, I guess. So, just a normal 7 years for you,
Oh
otherwise.
yeah, yeah. Been so relaxing. The most soothing 7 years. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's been a wild time.
yeah. Were y'all, to whatever extent you can say, statute of limitations considered? How is Portland in 2020?
Oh, Portland is fantastic. In many ways, Portland is like a dream landing pad for my ilk of of queer
Oh,
anarchists. So
I love that.
yeah,
Um, yeah, my favorite podcaster lives there, so I
yeah,
hear about it all the time. Have you ever
yeah.
met Robert Evans?
I have not met, but I am familiar. Yeah,
Yeah, these it's so interesting. I've spent approximately 40 minutes in Portland in my life, and because this Portland-based podcast network is in my ears multiple times a week, I'm just like, oh yeah, Portland, good old Portland.
yeah. I mean, Portland, we live up to most of our reputation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Any other like major life updates or context to give us before I just kind of ask you what it all means?
No, let's dive right in.
Okay, great. I guess first question, Dahlia, like what the fuck? What are you? No, I'm just kidding. Sorry. In your mind, like what? I phrased it as a joke, but it's actually like kind of a real question. Like because I don't want to bias your answer. I just want to get a sense of
Yeah,
your understanding of all this. But like, what is it to be trans? What does that mean?
yeah. So my honest answer on that, I I am not that big of a fan of the way we seem to have conceived of being transgender. Mostly just because, sorry, eyelash. I think it gives the misconception that we are all actually describing the same experience or context. And I don't think that is really the case. And I think perhaps in the past, like even 10 years ago, I think we were a secluded enough community to where it was useful and practical to describe it as if it were one consistent experience.
Hmm.
But I think we're at a point now where there are enough people describing their particular experiences to say that we're really not describing the same thing all the time. But I guess the most broad conception I can give of transness, certainly as it now exists, is to differ from the cultural expectations attributed to the sex one is assumed to be at birth.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I mean, I I think you're extremely correct in that trans trans star plus umbrella has come to be used to refer to like a whole wide variety of experiences, um, which have in common that they like vary along the lines in some way of gender,
Yeah,
gender slash physical sex. Um, and yeah, there's definitely people whose experiences of their experience within the trans umbrella when they claim the label trans is a very different kind of experience from mine.
yes,
Um, and I think that's, yeah, I think that's, I mean, that that shouldn't be controversial. Like that's just uh, observationally true. We're all different people.
exactly. Yeah,
Um, and I I think the reason we both are trying to be very careful when talking about this is because then you do have like there is the history of your Blair White type, you
correct.
know, the true scum type who reify that difference or like try to form a
Correct.
hierarchy within those differences,
Yeah.
um, which I don't think is what either of us are doing, from what I
No,
can tell.
yeah,
Yeah,
I think they're just differences,
yeah,
just different experiences and contexts, and that's fine.
yeah. So like from here on out, if it helps, just assume I'm asking like you are fundamentally describing your experience.
Yeah,
Um, and so the answers you give to these questions might not necessarily align with someone else's experience of it.
they
But
most certainly won't.
yeah, um, but I like to get nitty gritty in it because it's what frustrates me most when I try to read like 19th century sexology stuff or, you know, like old trans autobiography things. And I'm like, they're throwing around words, but I'm like, okay, but what does that mean to you? Like,
Yeah,
what is this word? So you are, it, I will start where you started, which is like, you are a woman, full stop. Like, if that's what
correct.
you said, right?
Mhm.
What does that mean to you?
Um, yeah, that is complex in and of itself. Um, I guess the best way I can explain. and this is very specific to me. Um, from my perspective, my womanhood is primarily a social relationship. It is how I relate to other people who self-identify as women,
Hmm.
versus how I relate to people who identify as any other gender or whatever. But also very specific to myself. Um, my family background, which is, of course, rooted in West African diasporic culture, um, we're very matrilineal, honestly. And I do think of my womanhood as a sort of um, a spiritual obligation, in a sense,
Hmm.
to my matrilineal line. Um, my mom happened to have had three children who, medically speaking, are classified as male, but my place within the family is that I am carrying on the matrilineal line.
That's interesting. Um, and I'm just gonna like be asking follow-up questions from the whatever pop into my head. Uh, that I imagine some anthropologists 521 years from now might have. Um, for you, then, with that, had you had an older sister, had one of your older siblings been a sister,
Mhm.
um, and all else had remained the same for you internally, would would you be less inclined to claim the mantle of woman?
Mm, I can't really say because that's not what happened. um,
Yeah, and I
but
guess I should also clarify an assumption I'm making there, which is that in the West African diasporic culture with this millennial with this matrilineal um,
yeah,
tradition that it it doesn't go to all daughters. So that could just be I don't know why I'm
exactly.
assuming it would just go to the oldest daughter.
Yeah, exactly. It's um, yeah. I don't know for certain. Um, I think I probably would. I might be less inclined to view it as a necessary spiritual devotion.
Hmm.
Um, I think I would still be a woman because that's just my situation. This is just who I am.
Yeah.
Um, but I think the sense of duty might be lessened.
Okay. That makes sense. So there's woman, which is in some way just a descriptive label of you,
Mhm.
and that's coincides with, but is not identical to woman, your understanding of your kind of familial spiritual place.
Correct.
Um, got it. That's interesting. That is a part of that. That's a part of like the understanding of woman that is newer to me. Um, and I'm curious. Like, is that something that you have heard other like black trans women reference in your experience, or is this like an idea that just kind of comes from you and your relationship to your family?
I will say that I do notice that among Black trans people, and I have more experience with other Black trans women, but there does seem to be more of an element of devotion involved. And I think that does come from a very ancestral place. Um,
Hmm.
and in my research into like just various culturally specific understandings of gender, that does tend to come up a lot. Um, where many of our cultures, there is this aspect of there is one child who is what we would classify as trans, um, and we serve a specific function within the familial order.
Hmm. Interesting. Devotion to the family.
Yeah, devotion to the family or the role within the family, sometimes to the greater social order. Um, like it's certainly prevalent in um, West African societies. Will have these sorts of things arise, or the moksha in Mexico.
Hmm.
It's or even the Femminile of Italy. It's typically the youngest son who takes on this role in which they are effectively a daughter.
That's interesting. Um, yeah, I mean, so many cultures, and including as you reference with like Italian. There's a lot of also people. I think people have this misconception of like they mistake European culture for what ended up being the like kind of cultural of European colonialism, which
Yeah,
uh, also destroyed all the cultural variants in Europe as well.
exactly.
Um, yeah, I mean, like so many cultures outside of that very particular one that ended up conquering the world have these third or fourth gendered identities, or they have these kind of family roles that are things like we would look at and consider some kind of transness or gender diversity. Um, that's really
Exactly.
interesting. And you're, it's interesting that that's like where your mind went. Like when you're imagining these people or you're reading about them, like theoretical youngest son becoming this sort of daughter role.
Mhm.
What do you imagine as their internal experience? Like, do you imagine it to be something similar to yours, or like is that social role of daughtering like not necessarily coincide with what we might describe as like internal feelings of transsexuality, for instance?
Well, I know that traditionally, like the Femminile don't consider themselves to be women. They do
Yeah.
consider themselves to be male daughters um, instead. But
Hmm.
so, yeah, I can't necessarily speak to that, but I do know for myself and in interactions I have had with other Black American trans people, um, we tend to, like among trans women, we tend to place our mothers on a pedestal that we are aspiring towards, and we tend to quite religiously devote ourselves to continuing the lessons and passing on the lessons that we have learned from our mothers. And inversely, for Black trans men, often placing their father on a pedestal and
Hmm.
trying in every way possible to emulate and pass on the lessons of their father.
Interesting. Um, yeah. And do you think that like is that something specific to like American Black transness, or is that just like a broader cultural distinction between kind of Black Americans and like non-Black Americans manifesting specifically in this arena because we're talking about it?
Um, I think there are elements of it just in general Black culture, but I think there is a very distinct flavor to West African and thus African American queerness
Yeah.
that I don't see represented to the same extent, or at least not vocally discussed to the same degree among other races.
Yeah. I guess I was asking, like, is this a difference, this difference you're identifying between like Black American trans women from this sort of like West African diaspora community
Mhm.
and say like American white trans women? Would you Do you see or would you expect to see that same cultural difference between Black cis women of the same Western African diasporic community and white cis women, or is it like a thing that manifests in transness?
I feel like it manifests more in transness,
Huh.
particularly the spiritual component of
Hmm.
it. I I find that
Interesting.
Black trans people, we tend to have more of a, for lack of a better term, religious spin on how we view ourselves and our identity.
Hmm. What what do you think is the source of that difference?
My honest feeling on it, and I have nothing, no concrete
Yeah,
evidence
no, no.
to support
Wild
this.
guess is acceptable.
Yeah, but I do suspect that it is an ancestral thing that we're perpetuating and
Hmm.
continuing. Um, it's just kind of our thing culturally that we maintain a lot of elements of our traditional cultures, whether explicitly or not. And I feel that this is definitely one of those things that we've carried through into the modern day.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to get argument from me. I'm an I'm an extremely non-spiritual person myself. So like,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm definitely not sitting here being like, excuse me, I'm also very spiritual. I'm not. So um that's interesting.
yeah.
Um what do you think, just to change gears a little bit, um when you say you're a woman less from this kind of cultural, spiritual, familial duty place, but when you said, when I was asking you like what it would be like if you had an older sister, and you're like, well, I'd still be a woman, but I don't know if I'd feel this part of it.
Yeah.
Um, that first part of like, well, I'd still be a woman, like in this like descriptive way. What is that identifying for you?
Yeah, I still would say that that is, for me, primarily a social relationship. Um,
Yeah.
it's just how I relate to other people. And I think part of it is that I don't feel like I'm at odds, for lack of a better word, with like cis normativity or whatever. Um, from my perspective, I think cisgender people, they take the masculine or feminine socialization and for the most part don't think about it, right? It's what they do, they accept it, and it more or less works for them. And clearly for trans people, it doesn't work for us, right?
Yeah.
We're like, I hear what you're saying. I see what you want me to do. I get it.
Yeah.
I understand the rules. like distinctly, and we'll dissect it to this
Yeah.
just minutia, um, and ultimately we're like, and I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, it doesn't work for me actually.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, that's interesting. Okay. And like for you, what do you think, if you have a theory at all, you don't have to. Um, like what's your personal understanding of like why are you trans? Like what is it? And I don't mean like at a scientific level, like look at brain,
yeah.
but like I mean it could be. Like that might be your explanation. Um, some people will go, I have a woman's soul, and like souls are gendered. Some people are like, I don't fucking know, it's just the stuff I like, like do you have like kind of a belief about any of that?
Yeah. So for me personally, I think this is just how I exist. I This is my default setting.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know why, and I so outside of comedy, I do also work in peer support.
Hmm.
So this is actually a question that I have had to give a lot of thought to because it's a question people ask me frequently in regards to themselves as well. And people will explore all these different hypotheses as to how they got here. And they'll go through every childhood trauma they ever had, or this or that. And ultimately, my answer is that it doesn't matter. I don't think the why is particularly important in the face of, are you living a life that feels authentic to you? And does it make you happier or more content than the alternative? If so,
Yeah.
I don't care how you got here.
Yeah. I mean, I feel the same way. I think those questions can be interesting for sure.
Yeah,
Um, like, and I love talking to people about them in a way that is like from a place of exploration and curiosity.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, when it's very frequently it's that for example, that idea that like queerness, transness is the result of some kind of childhood trauma. Who
yeah,
molested you? What happened?
hmm,
You know,
yeah,
um, people have that idea and that's just, I mean, that's just on the one hand, like not true. Like
hmm,
that's, or at least that's not true of all trans people.
yeah,
um,
yeah. I think that may
but
very well be, like, I have to accept, right? I have to accept if someone comes to me with that as their account. If they're like, this
exactly.
was my formative sexual experience, and ever since I've wanted this, that, the other. They've lived their life. I haven't. So I have to accept that, yes, that is a possible route to reach this conclusion. And also, there are plenty of people with those exact same experiences who don't end up
Yeah,
here as the end result. So
yeah.
it is
It's
what it is.
it's not sufficient or necessary, as, as we say
Yeah.
in the philosophy world. Um, yeah. No, I mean it's interesting. It's like someone being like, well, I mean, like I think I want vanilla ice cream, but like I don't know, like I don't know why I want vanilla ice cream. Like, is it just because like the first time I ever had vanilla ice cream, I happened, you know,
Exactly.
like, and not to discount the people you're describing here who do have that like narrative of
Yeah.
trauma that they self understand as having contributed to or explaining their transness.
Yeah.
I'm not in their heads, but um, the vanilla ice cream thought experiment was more like the place that you and I sound like we were both in at some point of like, well, I'm just not certain. Like, I really need to figure it out. I need to hammer it down. I need to have a full accounting before I can make a decision.
Yeah,
And sometimes you just like vanilla ice cream. And like,
exactly. And that's okay.
it doesn't
Just
mean you
eat the
shouldn't
fucking
eat it
ice
because you
cream.
can't explain it. um,
Yeah.
yeah, just fucking eat it. That's interesting. Um, yeah, like, do you think that hmm, what is the question I want to ask here? Um, it's harder for me to ask you questions about this because we have a very similar system of understanding it. Uh, so I'm like, yeah, I mean, everything you're saying makes total sense to me. These are like these are ultimately like social roles. We're identifying how we fit into them. Like it just kind of
Yeah,
happens to. We're just kind of identifying the social games we enjoy playing. Um,
exactly.
yeah, no, I mean that's very in line with my thoughts on all this. Which is fun. I like that because I like when people make me feel right and smart. Um,
Same.
yeah, but like there's this sense in cis society that like that's extremely unsatisfying to cis people when you
Yeah,
tell them that. It's unsatisfying to a lot of trans people too. Like there's a lot of trans people who find that kind of description of gender. It's like not enough. They want gender to be something more.
yeah,
I on both counts, both from cis and trans people. Like you're saying all it is how I fit into this socialization. Um, and so I just want to voice like that sort of anxiety that people have about it. Um, do you think that's all it is, and are you okay with that? And like, what does it mean?
yeah. Um, well, to be very clear, I guess I'm okay with it. It it is what it is. I'm not sure that anything in and of itself has true meaning. I think we assign meaning, um, because it makes us feel better or more important or whatever. But ultimately, we're just big dumb animals doing what any other animal does. We're just
Mm,
trying to survive in a world that's primarily ruled by chaos.
mm.
And, you figure out whatever strategy works for you. And if it works, it works.
We're really on the same page here, which is just now like mostly what I find myself curious about. Like, um, do you describe yourself as a spiritual person?
Hmm.
What does that mean for you within this context? Because, uh, this has nothing to do with transness necessarily, but like, I have such a similar worldview to what you've been describing, and yet, like, I don't experience myself as like having a spirituality. So, like, what is it that you identify within yourself as spiritual, and how does it play into this broader like understanding of everything being chaos and we're just big dumb animals doing our best?
Yeah, spirituality and religiosity for me, and I make a very marginal distinction between the two. Um, but for me personally, spirituality is primarily that which exceeds the practical. Like, ultimately, I need shelter, I need food, I need water, I need sleep. Like, those are the actual things that I physically need to keep my body functioning. But
Hmm.
then there are other things like the emotion I feel while hearing a certain kind of music, or at like a concert, for example. the tones that everyone is experiencing at the same time and that sense of connection with all these other particles that we're referring to as people, that to me is that spiritual component of it's not practical necessarily in the material sense. It's something that transcends that. It's beyond that. When
Oh,
I use the term religious, I mean specifically a set of rules that I hold myself to, even when it's not practical for myself to do so.
are you religious?
I do consider myself to be religious.
Um, any particular religion
No,
or
absolutely not.
I see.
No, I think organized religion is a horrific perversion of the human inclination towards religious behavior.
Where do you obtain your specific religious rules that you follow even when it's impractical?
A variety of sources, and it is just following my own intuition
Hmm.
and, referencing my own lived experience. And, you know, I know for a fact there are things that I could do to materially benefit myself in life that I personally am not willing and ultimately able to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's the other place where I think the way we think of religion generally is problematic and a perversion of what that inclination is, because I also don't really believe in free will at the end of the day. I
Yeah.
think we have sort of a baseline programming that we're going off of, and we can move contrary to that, um, but it doesn't tend to end well. So I have the capacity and the ability to be selfish, for example. And being selfish makes me feel shitty, so I don't.
Hmm.
Even if, being selfish might materially benefit me in certain situations, I just refuse.
Yeah. This is so interesting. It feels like I was just talking to someone about this. Sometimes two people will verbally be in agreement and they think they agree. And upon further analysis of their understanding of the terms in use, they'll realize that agreement was a facade. Um, this is how a lot of propaganda works. That's how a lot of sophistry works in general.
Mhm,
Um, and I think a lot of people are aware that that happens frequently. The other like symmetrical phenomena that happens also frequently is that two people only apparently disagree and actually agree once they go through all the terms and lay them
mhm.
out, um, which is what I'm experiencing right now, which is very interesting because like my whole life I've been I've been an atheist. I mean, I consider myself sort of an existential nihilist.
Mhm.
I'm like the one queer person in California who like doesn't know my astrology chart. Um, uh, and so like it's so interesting because religious and spiritual are never words I would have used to describe myself because of how I what I understand them to refer to.
Mhm.
Um, but you do describe yourself using these words. However, your worldview is very aligned with mine as far as I can tell.
Yes,
Um,
exactly.
which is fun. I like that. Um, that's so interesting. I feel like that's those are the moments that are like more fun to me to discover than like when you find out, like, oh wait, I thought we agreed. You said you were with me this whole time. Well, but wait, you thought free will meant what?
Yeah.
We have to start over. Like, um, those moments are just frustrating. But I like these moments of like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
that's cool. Um,
Yeah.
I still won't go around calling myself religious or spiritual because
Yeah. Why? Why should
I
you?
live in a particular context in which I feel like that would mislead people.
Yeah.
Um, but I like hearing the way that you think about them and relate to them. Um,
Well, thank you.
yeah, I if you, it there's something here which I don't have the bandwidth right now, 3 hours in to our talking to really piece together. But I have this almost nostalgia. It's like a sense of similarity between this experience I'm having regarding you and like just breaking down these words, and a similar sort of feeling I sometimes have with cis people when talking about gender, where it's like, I'm like, I don't know how much we actually disagree. Like, I think maybe you just don't know what I'm saying. Like, can
Yeah.
we go through really slowly and spell out exactly what we're saying? And often, like, what I find with cis people is often the assumptions they make about what trans people mean or what trans people are trying to communicate are batshit insane. And
Yes.
they're like, oh, you're crazy. And I'm like, if I believed any of that, I would be crazy.
Yeah.
Where did you get that? It's like what we were talking about earlier with like the like what do you think I think my body is?
Yes. Exactly.
I'm not going to lie about what I can see. I don't want you to. I just want you to be nice to me.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's uh okay.
Yeah.
Um
And on that topic, I do want to touch on also why I self-identify as transsexual and what I
oh, yeah,
mean
thank you.
with that.
I meant to bring
Uh,
that back up. Thank you.
yeah, because I do think there is, unfortunately, because I encounter it, this conflation of transsexual and transmedicalism, and I absolutely don't embrace that at all.
Yeah.
Um, for me, being transsexual is not in reference to the medical steps I've taken. It's in reference to why I have taken those medical steps. It's my relationship to my own anatomy and biology. So,
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I feel like this is a cultural shift that has been swinging back. We lost that word because I think some of the loudest voices in the trans internet were these like really self-hating trans medicalist true scum
yeah,
types who were so mean to each other and to other queer people. Um, and the word got tainted because of the way they would use it as a gatekeeper label. Um,
exactly.
yeah, for me, I like the word transsexual because I think it most accurately identifies that part of my experience, which is that I have from the dawn of puberty, like deeply desired for my body to be sexed in a way other than it was. Um,
Exactly.
you know, like, and so
Whether
I
I have
take
access
steps.
to that or not.
Yeah, and so I take steps to pursue that. I've often thought of the difference as like if transgender for me identifies the part of that social game that you were talking about with woman,
Mhm.
like like woman for me identifies the axis in which I am transgender. Like it is the
Yes.
social game role I like, and if I'm on a desert island by myself, it won't matter all that much to me probably. Like it might
Like,
now be, if I go there now, but if I grew up there, I probably wouldn't care. But if I were on a desert island, I would still want bottom surgery. And
correct. Exactly.
you know, like that has nothing to do with other people. That's
Yeah.
Um,
Agreed. Yeah, we're on the same page. Yeah,
yeah, and I think that's like it's such a useful word for that reason, um, because it's like a different that is like an experience that's super relevant to me in my life that not every transgender person has, which is
exactly.
okay.
Nor
Um,
should. Yeah,
I don't want them to actually. It's not pleasant.
Yeah, and that's what I always point out too. I'm like, this is not like a merit badge. I'm not.
no, yeah, it just is what it is.
Yeah, I'm so
But
happy that the majority of transgender people don't have this experience.
yeah, and I love transgender as a huge umbrella label. Like
Yeah,
I, the more people can recognize themselves as some kind of gender queer, the better off we all are. Like I've never understood why the trans medicalist impulse was to. I mean, I do get it. It's like it's putting down someone else to prove that you belong in the oppressor class. But like, aren't we all safer the more of us like are bucking gender norms? That
yeah,
I don't. Anyway, thank you for bringing that term up. This is a sentiment that is increasingly common, which I like because these are two important different axes of experience that we need vocabulary to be able to identify.
yeah,
Um, yeah, transvestite. I don't have any need to bring that one back anytime soon. Uh,
yeah. It's not particularly useful.
what's
I
her
don't
name?
think.
Virginia Pierce.
Yeah.
Virginia Prince. I don't know her name. Um, yeah, that one. That's my most toxic trait. Sometimes people are like, "I'm a cross dresser," and I'm like, "I don't believe you."
You're like, for now, I'll
Yeah.
set a timer for you.
Yes. Someone can be like, I'm they them, and I'll be like, I'm really happy for you. But someone will be like, I'm a sissy crossdresser, and I'm like, all right. Okay.
But are you though?
Yeah. That's my toxic trait. Call me out if you're a sissy crossdresser. Please like and subscribe and comment. Um, Dahlia, anything else that you well, I have three final questions, but before I get through the last three questions, anything else you want to bring up like that?
Not
Uh,
yet. I'm sure I'll go on a whole tangent from your last three questions as well. So
love it. These are the three questions I'm ending each of these interviews with. Um, Dahlia, first of all, thank you so much for being here and sharing so much of yourself. I've learned a lot, and I've really appreciated you
thank you
being
for
willing
having
to
me.
talk to me. And you in the future, 521 years from now, you're welcome. Yeah. Um, Dahlia, what is one thing you would tell yourself in the past? This is the classic trans Reddit question.
Oh yes. Um, be yourself.
Yeah, you hear that, little Dahlia?
Yeah.
Uh, I love it. Simple. Um, this one, you're a stand-up comic, but what is one thing that you would say to anyone of our time who might be watching this or in the near future? If do you have like a message you would like to get out?
Um, mm, if you're so inclined, try butt stuff.
Yeah, find yourself a Frank. It can be fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Just do research on how to do it, or you won't
Yeah,
have the
exactly.
time.
Don't hurt yourself. But yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
go slow. Lots of lubrication. Um, I say as someone with very minimal experience because I'm not, I guess, so inclined.
That's
But
fair.
I
That's
tried it
fair.
because I'm very empirically oriented.
Yes, and I respect that.
uh, last question. What is a message you have for the queer scholar or anthropologist 521 years from now who has happened upon this archive?
Oh, wow. What would see? That's hard to say. That's harder because you've done more research. Society has evolved over these last 500 years. I'm sure there are things you could tell me that I've never even imagined before. I guess what I would say is, um, we tried our best. We tried our best.
Yeah.
As it turns out, we have limitations, and I'm sorry.
I mean, yeah, that's the appropriate message every human generation passes on. uh, love it. Dahlia, thank you again. And this is wonderful. Where can people find you if they want to experience your comedy or just hear more from you?
Yeah, I do have a homepage, but I don't do much there because I'm not that tech savvy. So follow me on Instagram. I like that. Or yeah, if you want jokes, if you want humor and fun, just irreverent shit, follow me on Instagram or Blue Sky, especially Blue Sky. I only shit post on Blue Sky.
Nice.
Um, if you want to find out way too much about how I actually view and think about the world, follow me on Threads. It's
That's the division there. Blue skies for
yeah,
jokes, threads for real shit.
yeah, exactly. That's for all
Okay.
my compulsive thoughts.
I love that. I've been so scared to get on threads. But maybe this will be what motivates me to finally get on there. And thank you so much. Y'all can find me on Instagram at Sarah Rose Kaplan. You can like and subscribe to this YouTube channel,
And you should.
or you should, or you can find me perfectly cryopreserved in the middle of the sacred North Tree. So um, check it out 500 years from now. Thank y'all so much for watching. And Dahlia, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
Signing out from the past, this has been Sarah with Tranthropology.